And it's Peter Borkowski here on the Cougar Sports Network, bringing you this edition of Coaches Weekly. And once again, I'm joined by the head coach of the CUC football team, Coach Chase Hankins. Coach, welcome back to the show. Excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, and it was a tough weekend for you and your squad. You traveled to St. Norbert College this past Saturday. Fortunately, dropped that one 62-0. And I guess let's start with the offense, because this feels like the first time this season, even in that Aurora game, where the offense truly felt stifled. You guys had under 100 yards of total offense. And granted, St. Norbert is a very, very good defense, one of the best in the country. But just what exactly did you see on the offensive side of the ball Saturday that led to, you know, the lower stats than what we're used to seeing? Because again, even in that Aurora game, you could still say the offense produced to a decent degree. But what happened in that St. Norbert game? Not even just their good defense. What happened on your part that you might want to see some improvements on?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just came down to intensity. I think for the first time, kind of comparing the Aurora and the St. Norbert game to each other. You know, Aurora is Aurora because they're fast and they're athletic. St. Norbert is St. Norbert because they're strong and intense. And I think that from the very first play of the game, they sent the house and played cover zero over the top of it, and they just locked everything down. And that was just a statement from the very get-go of just the mentality that they play with. And I think that our guys, you know, just being as transparent as possible, our guys flinched a little bit, and that can kind of be expected when you've got a young team.
Right.
But the important thing is not necessarily how that game went, but how we're going to rebound from it. And I think that we've got guys now that we didn't necessarily have the last couple of years that are going to get up off the mat and respond.
Okay. And another thing about that game is, again, we can talk about the defense once more. It allowed 62 points, but I mean, did you see any of those improvements that you talked about? We talked about the last couple of weeks, things that you want to see out of this defense that they can't fix right now. Again, if they're a younger defense, there's still a journey to becoming a good defense. But what did you maybe see against that St. Norbert team? Again, the points allowed notwithstanding that, maybe were signs of improvement from what we've seen these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, obviously not the type of performance that we want out of our defense, and really hard to find positives that come from that. But kind of a funny story at halftime, we sat them down and was just like, guys, how about we actually do the things that we're coached to do? What do you got to lose in the second half? And they responded from that and only gave up 2 scores in the second half. Now, we still need to make some pretty dramatic improvements pretty fast here.
Right.
But you're going to take all the positives that you can get. And that second half, they definitely played better. Unfortunately, the game was already decided by that point. But now we need them to come out and start that way.
Well, kind of looking more far ahead before we talk about WLC tomorrow, but you only got about a month left in the season, just about 4 games on hand. What kind of has been your impression so far through conference play up to this point? You got 2 conference wins under your belt, and you got a month left, and you know the games coming up are definitely winnable games. So, just kind of what are your main impressions? You know, kind of at this halfway point of conference play, heading into the back half, heading into this final stretch of the season. What have you seen that has gone well, that hasn't gone well, and what do you want to see this team really step up and improve on heading into this final stretch, this final month of the year?
Yeah, so I kind of look at the season in 3 chapters. That first chapter was kind of a feeling out process, kind of like any book where you're starting it out and the story needs to be like put out there so you can build on top of it. And that first chapter was more just trying to figure out what we had. And we found out pretty quickly that we've got an offense that has completely bought in, and they're doing the things that we coach them to do, and the defense is extremely young. And the second chapter of that book, sort of that midway point, was us trying to figure out how we can adapt those things. And we're seeing some adaptation in certain areas and not so much in other areas, and then guys not playing as a team all at the same time. And so that third chapter, hopefully every good book ends in a positive way.
Right.
That third chapter, which is what we're in right now, this back half of the season, is where we put it all together.
And now focusing on tomorrow, Wisconsin Lutheran College coming to see you guys back on home turf. And obviously, other than, the major aspect of playing in front of a home crowd, can you just kind of talk about some of the other differences of playing at home versus on the road? I mean, you guys, I know it's been about equal, but it feels like you've been playing a little more road games than home games, just kind of the way it feels. Maybe it's the quality of opponents you're playing on the road, but coming home for WLC tomorrow, what are some of those other advantages that we might not see on the surface of being able to play on home turf at CUC?
Yeah, I think that, without creating very much bulletin board material for other teams.
Right.
The away schedule has been filled with the more difficult opponents, with Greenville, Aurora, St. Norbert. Eureka still gave us a great shot just because there is that advantage of not having to get up a little bit earlier and travel. And there's definitely stats that would prove that we do play better at home, and I think a lot of that just has to do with our mentality going into it. We're not uncomfortable in a locker room that we're not used to, and our pregame rituals are pretty consistent, which players love consistency, especially leading up to a game. So there's definite advantages at home, and luckily we finish off with 2 home games out of our last 3, and even our only away game is a little bit of a shorter ride.
Right.
So we got that going for us, which is good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, CUC Football welcoming Wisconsin Lutheran College to River Forest tomorrow for a 1 p.m. matchup. Coverage can be found at our website, cucougars.com, and the live stream can be found on our YouTube page, CUC Sports. Coach Hankins, thanks again for joining me today. Good luck tomorrow against Wisconsin Lutheran. I look forward to talking about it when we meet next week. But until then, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Sorry about that. Good afternoon, Cougar fans, and welcome to Concordia Stadium as we get set for some Saturday afternoon football between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Warriors of Wisconsin Lutheran College. Peter Borkowski here on the Cougar Sports Network, joined by Jonathan Shear, celebrating Halloween a little early here on the beautiful campus of Concordia University Chicago. It's a beautiful autumn day here in River Forest, and Jonathan, nothing says fall more like some Saturday afternoon college football. Let's break down these two teams facing off each other here at Concordia Stadium this afternoon. First, for your CUC Cougars, Jonathan, they're coming off a rough one at St. Norbert College this past Saturday, 62-0 defeat of the Cougars by the Green Knights. And to be fair, St. Norbert College, arguably the second best team in the conference behind Aurora, which, you know, when you say that, that means they're probably the best team in the conference in a lot of other conferences with how good Aurora is. But for CUC, the real red flag about that game, Jonathan, was this felt like the first time all season that the offense has truly been stifled. They had less than 100 yards of total offense, just 4 first downs on the afternoon as a whole. And, I mean, again, they're going up against a top 25 defense in the nation. But, Jonathan, this was just not a great day for the Cougars, especially that offense, which has been so productive up to this point.
No, absolutely not. Up to this point, like you mentioned, that's been the bright spot of this Cougars team. Colton Bosch has been having a great year, so a lot of their other weapons And then you look at the offense this last week, your leading rusher was Bubba Henson, not Jerron Brown. You had maybe 20 receiving yards. It was a rough game on offense for the Cougars. It's a game that you really just have to put in the past and move on from. Just say that's not representative of where your team is, because it's not representative of where this Cougars team has been on the season as a whole. It's not a great game to have, but it is something you can move on from.
Right, but if you do want to focus on one bright spot of that game, I know they might be hard to find. It would have to probably be the second half performance out of the defense. This is a defense that has really struggled for the Cougars. They let up the most points in the conference by a wide margin at that. It's a young defense and it's an inexperienced defense. But in that second half against St. Norbert, they did only allow 13 yards. So you kind of hope that defense can kind of build on that performance coming here today against Wisconsin Lutheran College. And to do that, Jonathan, they're going to need a big performance out of one of the guys up front, Trayvon Thomas, senior leader of this Cougars squad. He's really been the defensive leader since he got here back in 2021. And they're going to need a big game out of Thomas up front if they want the rest of this defense to perform well today.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, this defense has honestly struggled on the year so far. But now you're going up against a Wisconsin Lutheran team whose offense is middling in pretty much every single metric within the NAC. It's a great opportunity to put up a good game on defense, hold that offense back, allow your offense to put up points and get the lead. This is a really, really good opportunity for this defense to bounce back.
Right, for sure. Well, let's talk about Wisconsin Lutheran a little bit. They're coming off a win this past Saturday, 10-7 thriller at Benedictine University, not too far from here in River Forest, and it was a thriller to the very end. Wisconsin Lutheran winning the game on a blocked field goal, the lone touchdown for WLC coming from a Barbian touchdown pass to Emmett Hawkins. We'll talk about Hawkins a bit more in a second, but let's keep talking about that offense and really this WLC team as a whole, because statistically, I think you said it best, Jonathan, they're just kind of middling. They're ranked 5 to 6 in a ton of team statistics in the NAC conference this year. This is a team who, they're one of those squads, they don't really excel in anything, but they also don't really bottom out in anything too. They're just kind of a jack of all trades, good team.
Exactly, and being that jack of all trades good team with no serious weak spots has allowed them to have a great year in conference so far. They're 3-1, and they have a big win against Eureka. They've beaten Lakeland. They've beaten Benedictine. They've had a good year so far because there are no glaring weak spots, and that's a great strength to have as a team. And they do have some strengths elsewhere. They have some big playmakers on offense, like you mentioned, Emmett Hawkins, but that lack of weak spots is really where this team finds its identity.
Right, and let's talk about Hawkins a little bit. He was a freshman just last season and was named first team all-conference as a freshman, and he's doing it again this year. He's leading the conference in receiving yards, just over 470 yards, and against a young secondary in the Cougars, Emmett Hawkins, he could have a really big day here, Jonathan.
Absolutely. This is a game where he's coming into it, he's licking his chops. He sees this team, a team that gives up a lot of points, especially in the passing game, and that's exactly what he can prey upon. Make a statement, get out there, avoid a close game like the Warriors have had their last couple of times out by getting out there and playing, like you mentioned, a young defense. A lot of freshmen out on the secondary for the Cougars that are still trying to figure things out in the secondary in the back half of this season. So this is a big opportunity for Hawkins to get out there and just continue his run this season.
For sure. Well, a little history between these two squads. All time, CUC has 4 wins against the Warriors, while WLC has 11 wins against the Cougars. CUC's last win came right here in River Forest in 2021. Since then, WLC has taken both of their matchups since in WLC's own territory. So CUC looking to break a little bit of recent history here against the WLC Warriors. But Jonathan, in order to do that, in order to get their first win since 2021, what do the Cougars need to do here today to pick up that win against the Warriors?
I think it goes to the defense, and specifically the run defense. This is a defense that, I mean, they've struggled, but they've especially struggled against the run as well, stopping that consistently. And then on Wisconsin Lutheran's side, if there's a weak part of their offense, it's their run game. They're averaging fewer running yards per game, per passing. That's their weak spot. If you can find a way to stop that running game early, it allows you to just focus your defensive efforts on Emmett Hawkins, on that passing game, and really make this offense one-dimensional.
Well, as for me, I want to focus on the Cougars offense, and it's really about Colton Bosch. The sophomore quarterback for CUC is having himself a very nice year, but these last 2 weeks he's kind of gotten off the slow starts, never really found his footing at all against St. Norbert, and then in the week prior to loss to Rockford here at CUC during homecoming, he really did not get started until that second half, and by then it was too little too late for the Cougars offense. So for Colton Bosch, for the Cougars offensive staff, getting that quarterback started early, maybe some safety passes, whatever it takes to get his footing under him and get this Cougars offense in gear early, that's going to help CUC out a lot in this game against the Warriors. WLC coming here to CUC to take on the Cougars this Saturday afternoon. Kickoff is set for just about 10 minutes. Jonathan and I will be on the call with you all afternoon on the Cougar Sports Network, so don't go anywhere just yet. Cougars and Warriors kicking off here shortly.
Cougar football is on the air. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Concordia Stadium here on the beautiful campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for some Saturday afternoon college football between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Warriors of Wisconsin Lutheran College. Peter Borkowski here on the Cougar Sports Network, joined all afternoon by Jonathan Shear. And coming into today, Cougars rocking a 2-5 overall record, 1-4 within conference play. Meanwhile, Wisconsin Lutheran 4-2 in their overall record, while they are 3-1 in conference play. But Jonathan, this should be a good challenge for the Cougars. You know, WLC, they're a good team, but they're not one of those Aurora, St. Norbert squads who are just by far and away the cream of the crop of the NAC conference. WLC, again, a good team. As we said in the pregame show, they're good at a lot of things, but they're not amazing at a lot of things. So this should be a good challenge for CUC, where if they can come out the day being competitive, picking up a win even, they could say, hey, that was a great Saturday afternoon for us.
Absolutely. This WLC team, they have played a lot of close games this year. The only real dominant win they've had within conference play was over Eureka, who is currently sits at the bottom of the conference. Their last two conference wins have been decided by one score against Lakeland and this last week against Benedictine. This is a team, they don't go out there and run up the score. They're not going to dominate you because of the nature of their team. They are good at everything. They're not great, really, at anything. So that's their strength, but it also allows for teams to hang with them. And that's really what the Cougars need right now to get back from last week against St. Norbert's, is a game where they can hang with the opponent, keep with them, keep fighting, and hopefully pick up a win.
WLC on a one-game win streak after their last Saturday win over Benedictine, a 10-7 thriller in Lisle, Illinois. Before that, they faced off with the Aurora Spartans. They lost that one 45-14, so they've split their last two games. Meanwhile, CUC, they're on a two-game losing streak right now. Lost this past Saturday to St. Norbert 62-0, and the week before that, they were here in River Forest for the homecoming game, where they lost to Rockford 74-45. So CUC looking to get back on track here. First year under head coach Chase Hankins. Meanwhile, WLC, they're in their fifth season under head man Eric Tresky. So a little more experience on the WLC side. We'll see if that becomes a factor today. CUC, they will kick off first here in River Forest. Wisconsin Lutheran ready to receive the kick, as Emmett Hawkins as well as Carson Kohler in the back line for WLC for the kickoff. As the kick from Ryan Auer is off, line drive kick, and Hawkins, it bounced off the top of his hands. It almost goes in the end zone. He picks it up. Hawkins, see if he can make something of it, and he's brought down. What a play by the CUC special teams. Emmett Hawkins bobbles the return, and he is brought down within the 5-yard line on WLC's own territory. That is a great combination, Jonathan, of a mistake on WLC's part, and then the CUC team just getting back there and bringing him down before he can recover successfully.
Absolutely. Hawkins is a weapon. We talked about him coming into this game. We'll talk about him throughout the game, but you get him down at first contact, and that is huge from that coverage team. And now a defense who really needs to step up big in this game is set up with a great starting defensive field position.
So WLC, they trot out Bryce Barbian, the junior out of Wisconsin. So far this year, over 1,100 yards thrown, 58 percentage completion, which is third best in the conference. As he's going to take a shot downfield to start, and he finds an open receiver for a first down and some more. WLC starting off hot here, big completion, as that is Emmett Hawkins on the reception. We'll talk about him some more as we go throughout the game. First team all-conference member last year as a freshman. You can see him lined up near side of your screen in that middle of the group of three receivers wearing number 19. One receiver on the far side. Barbian's got one man in the backfield, and it will be a handoff. Running back brought down by the hips. And on the rush was Liam Hygest, the freshman out of Appleton. He has been the leading rusher, for WLC, 421 net yards on 104 attempts. He's averaging 4 yards per carry, 70 yards per game. So 2nd down and 4 here for WLC as another handoff, and Hygis, he'll be brought down, able to fall forward for a nice gain. CUC made contact with him right at the line of scrimmage, but he's able to fall forward and make it 3rd and short.
So it's a 3rd and very manageable for WSC, a team that's been converting 3rd downs, again, at a middling rate within the NAC. 39.1% on the season is their conversion rate.
We'll see what they can do here on 3rd and 1 as WLC looks to the sideline to get the calls from the coaching staff. Some movement in the CUC defensive side, making some adjustments here last second. It will be a throw. Barbian, he has to roll out, and Barbian, he's going to keep it himself. He's got a 1st down before he heads out of bounds, and he gets the chains moving for WLC. Good carry there by Barbian. Didn't get a ton of yardage, but just enough.
And that's something we've seen the Cougars struggle with on this season is quarterbacks who can scramble, finding ways to stop that if you're not able to get the pressure there soon enough, and they have that time to get out of the pocket and get to the sideline.
Yeah, I don't think we have to remind people of the Robbie Michael game here when Lakeland was in town. Quarterback who ran all over the Cougars. Granted, he is currently 2nd in the conference, 3rd in the conference in rushing yards. So it's not like Cougars the only ones who suffered at the hands of Lakeland's quarterback, but it has been a struggle all year. As play here. The referee making an announcement over the PA system was unable to make out what he was saying. Looks like the play will stand. However, the play clocks, I believe, are the issue, as the one to the left of the field from the camera's perspective is currently out. The one on the right side is working, so I believe the referees are saying they're going to take care of business themselves. Barbian swings it out to Hawkins, and Hawkins, acceleration, and he tanks a big hit, and that should be enough for a 1st down, and it is. Emmett Hawkins got his sideline riled up, put his head down, barreled through a defender, moved the chains for his Warriors.
And that was a perfectly executed bubble screen from Wisconsin Lutheran. The Cougars' defense didn't really get fooled. They recognized the play. They went to cover it, but the Warriors just executed it perfectly to pick up those 5 yards, pick up that 1st down.
Emmett Hawkins, 6 feet tall and 190 pounds, so not massive by any stretch of the imagination, but he shows off his strength here, as showing off his strength is Hygis. Dipping and diving through the CUC defense, he picks up a 1st down as WLC is having no issues moving downfield. And again, this was a drive that started within their own 5-yard line, and here they are quickly approaching CUC red zone. So 1st and 10, ball on the CUC 29-yard line. Barbian, he's got Hygis next to him. Barbian, a quick throw, and is received by Hawkins. Hawkins turns the corner up the near sideline, stops on a dime, and he's still moving, and now he's brought down just over the 10-yard line. Emmett Hawkins putting on the brakes, sidestepping his defender, and he's got another big gain as WLC well into the red zone.
These screen passes from the Warriors have been used a lot, and they've been used effectively because they're getting fast players out to the perimeter where they have space to make moves, to beat defenders.
Yeah, Emmett Hawkins, clearly one of those guys, you get him the ball, he's going to do something special with it. 3 receivers to Barbian's right. He's got Hygis behind him. Snap here. Barbian looking, good block by Hygis as Barbian goes to the end zone and finds who else but Emmett Hawkins. First touchdown of the day belongs to WLC. They take a 6-0 lead over the Cougars.
And that's just a perfectly run flood on the right side of the field. Mix up the defenders, and it allowed Hawkins to just cut outside and be wide open in the corner of the end zone.
And then you got to give some credit to Liam Hygis there, doing the dirty work. He put up a big block. He got knocked on to his behind onto the turf, but Barbian, that gave him just enough time to find Emmett Hawkins in the end zone. As here comes the extra point, and it is up, and it is good thanks to the work of Arnulfo Ortega, all-NAC honorable mention kicker last year. As now we can take a second to look at this Hawkins touchdown from Bryce Barbian.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, big block from Hydras, but it's that receiver play on the right side of the field, all three just cutting in, and it gets the Cougars secondary mixed up. They all just get confused, who's going where, and you have Hawkins isolating himself, moving outside, and it gives him enough separation to make an easy play in the corner of the end zone.
So CUC's defensive struggles continue, allowing a touchdown here on the very first drive. 66 passing yards by WLC on that drive, 28 rushing yards, all rushing yards belonging to Hydras, and 60 passing yards going to Hawkins. Meanwhile, number 16, Drew Mears, receiving in 1 reception for 6 yards. As WLC strikes here in about 4.5 minutes of game time. Now it's going to be CUC's chance to return the favor. We'll see what they can do here as getting set for the kickoff is not Ortega, but is in fact number 34, Mikolia Maya Overchuk. As here's a bobble by Booba Henson. He collects it as Booba Henson now going sideline to sideline is brought down. Could have been a catastrophe, but good hands by Booba Henson, able to reel it in. Just not able to get much on the return because of it.
But it could be worse than a 23-yard starting field position. Again, this offense is the strength of the Cougars team. It's struggled in the last couple weeks, but it has shown the ability to be incredibly high-powered when it's able to execute. They're able to move down the field quickly. They have a very big play ability with their wide receivers.
So we'll see what Coach Hankins cooks up for his offense here. Colton Bosch under center once more for CUC, and it's a handoff to fellow sophomore Joran Brown. Brown is wrapped up and brought down. Gain of about 4 on the play. Yeah, CUC's offense coming into today, they are still ranked 3rd in the conference in points per game at 27.7 points per game. However, as Jonathan said, they have struggled the last 2 weeks. Last week, they were shut out by St. Norbert, and the week prior, they did score 45 points, but 14 points came in that only 14 points came in that first half. As another short play here by the Cougars. Another short gain by the Cougars. So it'll be 3rd and manageable, but CUC not trying anything too big here on their first drive. Bosch, he's got Brown to his left as he puts tight end Wes Jackson, who's really come alive as of late. And now we get some flags. Someone went early, and we'll see who the culprit is.
It looks like the official is signaling to the Cougars, and that's going to drop it back from 3rd and manageable to 3rd and 9. And that's a mistake that we haven't seen the Cougars make too much this year, but it's a very, very costly mistake, especially early on in the game when you're trying to lay down that offensive presence.
Right, and while it might not always be offside, CUC is the 3rd most penalized team in the conference, 68.1 penalty yards per game for the CUC Cougars. And again, that's not all on the offense. That is defensive penalties included. But still, this is a team who you can tell they're young, maybe not as disciplined as some of their older counterparts in the NAC. They have to clean it up if they want to have success here today against WLC. Colton Bosch ready to throw for the first time. Bosch, good time in the pocket, and he is eventually brought down. Layson handwork, the reigning all-NAC honorable mention, getting in the backfield, and that might be one of those plays, Jonathan, where Bosch needs to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. He had good pocket protection. He had a good couple seconds in the pocket, and he just, I think, spent a little too much time with the ball in his hand. That allowed handwork, the linebacker, for WLC to get back there, pick up the first sack we've seen this afternoon.
I mean, the coverage in the secondary was phenomenal. There was no receiver really wide open, but at some point you do have to choose, are you going to throw it away, or are you going to try and make a play happen? And Bosch doing neither, and it's going to set up a great starting field position for the Wisconsin Lutheran Warriors.
Dennis Anderplow on the punt And WLC's returner, Connor Marth, brought it back to at the 30-yard line for his offense to try and add on to this lead. Connor Martin on the reception, pardon me, senior out of Chino, California. Ball on the 35-yard line as Bryce Barbian and his offense trot back out. 1 for 1 so far on their drives. A touchdown pass to Emmett Hawkins got their offense going last drive. See what they can do here with 8:12 left to go in the first quarter. Plenty of time before we even hit the second quarter for Bryce Barbian and his offense to travel 35 yards and see if they could tack on to this lead. Barbian makes a handoff, and he'll swing it out to the corner, and off and running into the end zone for the touchdown is Jameel Gordon. 1 play, 1 touchdown for WLC on that drive, and they take a 13-0 lead over the Cougars. They needed just 10 seconds to do so as the special teams unit right back out for the PAT.
I mean, that's great blocking on the near side and explosive from Gordon. I mean, he just saw a straight line. He went for it. Cougars secondary not getting to the sideline quick enough, not making really any sort of contact with Gordon to knock him out of bounds.
Jameel Gordon leads the Warriors in receptions this year. 42 coming into the game, 330 yards, and a touchdown. He adds on to all 3 of those statistics with that 1 reception as the kick from Ortega is up, and it is good. So 14-0 lead here for WLC as we can take another look at this touchdown. And these plays, these swings out to these passes out to the wings, they're not supposed to result in this for the offense. They're supposed to pick up a couple yards, but like you said, between the blocking, the explosiveness of the receivers, WLC's making a field day out of those kinds of passes.
Yeah, and the problem with the Cougars' defense on that play where they got exploited was there was no real deep safety on that side of the field, so there's no one to pick it up after the tackles are missed up closer to the line of scrimmage. And then the Cougars' defensive backs who came up to make the tackle went at Gordon, and they didn't get in front of him. And that allowed him to find that gap on the sideline and just blitz down it because, as we saw right there, he's explosive. His acceleration is very, very fast. And once he sees that gap, you really have to find a way to get in front of him and slow him down to then make that play.
So Jameel Gordon adds on the second touchdown of the day for WLC. Bryce Barbian now up to 101 yards and 2 touchdowns, even though the air yardage has really not been there for Barbian, but his receivers making his stat line look really good so far into this first quarter as Booba Henson will receive this one cleanly, and he runs into a couple of special teamers. A third comes in to make the tackle as WLC's claiming they got the ball. Running it into the end zone was number 30. It is Jordan Miller, as the refs are going to call this one back. WLC trying to come away with one. No such luck, so CUC's offense will get a second crack at the WLC defense.
And the Cougars offense needs to find a way to pick up yardage on plays. It's been a lot of it was all short plays on that first drive from CUC. They're 2 positive plays. They need to find a way to get 5+ yards on a play, really start to get those chunk plays towards a first down.
7:56 to go as Colton Bosch going to be brought down again in the backfield. This time the play coming from Savon Goodwin, a senior out of New Orleans, second team All-NAC last year. And he picks up another WLC sack for Goodwin. That is sack number 1.5 on the season.
And that's a rollout play, designed rollout from the QB. So he's going to be taking more pressure. The blocking's not going to be as secure. But again, you have to find a way to get the ball out of the sack. Colton Bosch, 29th sack taken on the year, more than any other QB in the conference.
As Bosch is just going to keep this one himself, and he's wrapped up around the legs. Good play there out of Mitchell Smarzinski, a senior out of Kimberly, Wisconsin. And that brings up third down and more than long. And it's going to be well, less than 3rd and 20, 3rd and 19 to be exact. So CUC, they're going to need a big play here. You can see WLC, they're bringing the pressure. They have almost no one back in the secondary. As right in Bosch's face, he has to uncork one, and Henry Jones just not able to get there in time. Good coverage on Jones by Connor Martin, able to tie him up. And again, Bosch had someone right in his face almost directly after the snap. This will bring out the punt unit once more for CUC.
And that's a strategy the Warriors are going with, and it's working. The Cougars unable to get the passing game working in any capacity on these first 2 sets of downs. So just bring the pressure, make it tough. Don't give Colton Bosch any time to create those passing plays.
WLC coming into today, they are tied for 7th in total sacks with 7, as this ball takes a good bounce and will keep on rolling just to the 20-yard line. So Dennis Vanderplow, a much improved punt attempt as he buries WLC almost inside their 20. They're going to mark it, I believe, right on the 20-yard line. And so WLC, they got a little bit longer to go than their last play. 6:30 left to go here in the first quarter of play.
And that switches the field. That's a huge play from Dennis Vanderplow, who has really struggled on the season. He's averaging the fewest yards per punt attempt in the conference. His longest on the season is a 50-yarder, and now he just beat that with that punt right there. A huge punt, especially when your team's defense has been struggling in this first quarter. Just give them that extra space.
Throw here by Barbian, and he is going to find Mears, who's brought down. But, yeah, I mean, I think people, they kind of underestimate the punt game, especially when you have a defense that is struggling a little bit. I mean, I don't think any watchers of the Chicago Bears need to be told how good a good punter can make your team. Torrey Taylor tearing up the NFL world so far this year for the Bears. But that ability to flip the field is so crucial. And now your defense, they have a chance to really bury WLC positionally if they can get a stop here. And that's a big key as Trayvon Thomas breaching into the backfield, bringing down the runner as that brings up 3rd and 6 for WLC.
That's huge, just getting into the backfield, not just getting into the backfield, but getting to the backfield and then switching on to the back and taking them down at the line of scrimmage. This is going to be the longest 3rd down play we've seen of the day from WLC.
Well, see what they can do with it. Barbian's got 1 man in the backfield with them, a receiver to his right, 3 to his left. CUC 4 up front. They're trying to bring the pressure, see if they can get to Barbian. He gets it across the middle, and it is no good. Trayvon Thomas gets a hand on it. Incomplete pass, and that'll set up the first punt of the day for the Warriors as Barbian, for what feels like the first time today, unable to connect with them at Hawkins. See what CUC can do now as Drew Mears, the receiver, doubling as the punter. He just had to stay on the field, walk to the punting spot, and see what he can do. His team on their own 24-yard line. CUC, Jace Levi back to receive the punt. Punt is up from Mears. Not a ton of distance on it. It's going to take a couple bounces as Levi will just let it keep on rolling. Ball stops on CUC's 33-yard line. So best field positioning to start for CUC all day. First time they've started a drive on something other than a kickoff. And we'll see what this offense can do 3rd time out on the field.
And now the job of this Cougars offense is finding a way to beat the blitz. The blitz has been killing them on those first 2 possessions. Colton Bosch barely any time to make any plays in the backfield, and then stopping the run game as well. CUC's got to find a way to force Wisconsin Lutheran to get off of that blitz and vary up their defensive play calling.
As they're going to hand this off to Joran Brown. Brown fighting for every inch he can get. Picks up a yard, 2 yards on the play. As you see Colton Bosch running to the sideline, that means it is Troy Prattley time here in River Forest. Prattley, senior out of St. Joseph, Michigan, kind of the 1B to Colton Bosch's 1A. Pratley brings a different look to the offense as he will hold on to it. This is what Troy Pratley brings as he gets a couple yards out of that rush. And we'll see what QB takes the next snap, as it looks like Troy Pratley will stay out there for the Cougars.
And yep, there's that element of Troy Pratley, the QB option. But the interesting thing, and it's not really a fun fact for CUC from this last game against St. Norbert's, Troy Pratley led the Cougars in passing against St. Norbert's. And it's not exactly a part. He's not really stronger than Colton Bosch in that element of the game. He's that running QB.
As the running back for CUC picks up a first down, Joron Brown on that honorable mention last year, and he gets the Cougars their first down of the afternoon. As I think they're going to keep on rocking with Troy Pratley here. You know, and you talked about Cougars need to find out how to beat the blitz. Troy Pratley might be that option. He is a little bit more mobile than Colton Bosch is, so keeping him in there to try and scramble, as he does here. Troy Pratley right up the gut, and he slides, and he's hit afterwards. Ball loose, but Pratley was down. I was almost waiting for a late hit call, but no such luck from the referees. But, yeah, this might be how you beat the blitz. Keep Troy Pratley out there. Keep his agility and his mobility out on the field.
And the most effective plays we've seen are those read options from Troy Pratley. Follow Jerron Brown out to the side, see where the defense is going, and then either you give it to Brown or you take the gap yourself. And it's picking up 5 or 6 yards on these last 3 plays.
2nd and 5 now for CUC. Man in motion, and taking the ball is the man in motion. Chase Levi trying to turn the corner, and he gets tripped up. We'll get a slight positive gain on the play, about a yard. So it'll be a 3rd down and 4 now, as Chase Hankins trying everything he can do to get his playmakers the ball, including handing off to Chase Levi.
And now it's Colton Bosch back under center.
CUC probably going to need to go through the air here, 3rd and 4. As Bosch will look to pass, and he finds Chase Levi for the first down. Levi now brought down as CUC gets the ball within the WLC 40. And the offense starting to pick up a little bit of momentum here. Just over 2 minutes to go in the first half.
First completion of the day for Jace Levi. And we've been talking a lot about Emmett Hawkins. Jace Levi is also so far on the season, one of the best receivers in the NAC as well. 4th in the conference in receiving yards. He actually leads the NAC in total offensive touchdowns this season. He's been a very effective weapon for the Cougars.
This play goes nowhere for CUC, so it'll bring up 2nd down at 10. Yeah, Jace Levi, 7 receiving touchdowns on the season. And as we get another announcement over the referee microphone, he's wanting to reset the game clock to 1:48. But when you add in Levi's 7 receiving touchdowns with his rushing touchdown of 1, he's tied for the lead. He's got 8. As Colton Bosch getting mobile, he brings it to the line of scrimmage before he's brought down. So it'll be 3rd and 10 now for CUC.
And Bosch looking upfield, moving forwards in the pocket, buying himself some time, but just not fully aware of where those defenders are coming from behind him, getting brought down at the line of scrimmage. And it's that 3rd and long distance again, so you're going to have to go to the air again. But WLC, we'll see if they actually blitz again on this play like they've been doing on 3rd down so far today.
So you see now 2 for 4 on 3rd downs in this game. See what they can get here, 3rd and 10. Fake handoff, Bosch looking, plenty of time in the pocket. Bosch still looking, and he slings it, and broken up. Great defensive play out of WLC's number 25. That is Kaysen McFadden. Came streaking up the field, and he's able to break up that pass as the Cougars, they're going to bring out the punt unit. So now we're going to have to see a different side of Dennis Vanderplow. Not as much distance as he's got less than 40 yards to work with before a touchback. You can see Vanderplow backed up well into CUC's own territory as the punt is up. And WLC is going to let it bounce, and it is going to bounce into the end zone. No CUC special teamer in the vicinity of the ball.
And that's the distance you want on that punt. Just not the hang time or the backspin that you're really looking for to keep that in the field of play, keep that from headed for that touchback. 20-yard line, though, is still decent starting defensive position for the Cougars. We saw them stall out the Warriors the last time they were in this position, force the Wisconsin Lutheran 3 and out. Now they've just got to do the same thing once again.
Less than a minute to go here in the first quarter of action. WLC up 14-0 over the Cougars. Receiving touchdowns by Emmett Hawkins and Jameel Gordon. Got us to where we are now. So see what Bryce Barbian and the rest of the WLC offense can do on this drive. And he finds a streaking Gordon across the middle. Gordon's still on his feet, and now he's brought down. And that's going to be a flag as Gordon brought down from, looked like the back of his head. I wonder if it was his hair or the back of his collar, whatever it was. It drew a couple flags on the play. We'll see what the referees say here.
But either way, odds are that's going to be a personal foul. Yep.
Illegal horse collar tackle on the defense. So this is going to be a big boost to WLC's positioning. And just like that 20-yard line start for the CUC defense kind of out the door now.
I mean, it's a big offensive play to begin with from Gordon. Then you just tack on another 15 at the end of the play with the foul. And it's those defensive mistakes that can really kill you, really force you onto the back foot, and give a lot of momentum to the Warriors.
Barbian looking, and he's going to launch downfield. Emmett Hawkins, no problem reeling it in, no problem finding the end zone. Emmett Hawkins brings in touchdown number 2, and WLC a 20-0 lead now. And again, that penalty, not that 15 yards really made a difference on that play. Emmett Hawkins had so much separation, but it put WLC in a position to get a strike off like that. They strike indeed. 20-0 is our score as WLC sends out Ortega for the point after.
Yeah, we'll get that replay in a second, but again, that's just offensively, that's just great play design from Wisconsin Lutheran. You scheme Hawkins wide open on the outside.
Cougar jumps early. The kick is up, and it is good. And the CUC special teamer clearly jumping early on that play. We'll see what comes of it as the WLC special teamers are coming off the field. So declining the penalty is WLC. They're just going to take the point after, and now we get a chance to look at Emmett Hawkins' second touchdown of the day. Puts up his squad 20-0.
And you saw it right at the start there. It's the play design. Emmett Hawkins in motion, coming from the right side all the way across to the near sideline. It forces that Cougars defense out of position. You had Louis Mobley in coverage on Emmett Hawkins, who is a linebacker who is not the guy you want in that deep pass coverage against a fast receiver like Emmett Hawkins. And that's on the motion. That's on the play design. You scheme your receiver into those favorable matchups, and that's a very, very favorable matchup for who is, so far through this game, again, the leading receiver in the conference this year.
Emmett Hawkins, 2 touchdowns and 125 yards receiving so far. That is a good game for most receivers. Hawkins has that with 38.5 seconds to go here in the first quarter as the Cougars get set for another kickoff return. The kick from WLC is off. Cougars going to try for a return here. And good work so far, and tumbling forward for a nice return. It is Jaden Pointer, as now some whistles breaking everyone up. That play landed right in front of the CUC bench. So Jaden Pointer, good return as CUC is getting better and better fielding position every drive, it seems.
But that's all going to get called back. A holding called on the Cougars on the return. So you have your best return of the day, and you make another mistake, and you get it called all back, and your offense is going to be in a hole to start a possession trailing by 3 touchdowns.
So the ball reset to the 21-yard line on CUC's side of the turf. Colton Bosch out there. He's got Joran Brown directly to his left, puts Wes Jackson, the tight end, in motion. Brown, he's going to take the carry, and Brown will be brought down. Gain of roughly 4 for Joran Brown. As CUC, they can take this one to the quarter break if they wish. 15 seconds on the game clock. We'll see. I believe that is what they're going to do. CUC still getting the calls in from Chase Hankins. As the clock is at 3, 2, and 1. And that'll do it for the first half. I think the Cougars were a little confused about how much time they had left, too, as a couple of the offensive players pointing up at the board. Either way, that'll do it for the first 15 minutes of action here in River Forest. CUC struggling on both sides of the ball. 0 points put up, and WLC, they've dropped 21 on them. That is our score, 21-0. As we head into the second quarter, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, CUC gets set for another drive. See if they get some points up on the board. And we're back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second. Second quarter about to start here in River Forest. CUC will continue their drive. Second down and 5, as there will be another handoff to Joran Brown. Brown trying to turn the corner, and he's got to fight off a couple tacklers who eventually dogpile him, bring him down. He gets about a gain of 2 on forward of progress, as it is now 3rd and manageable for CUC.
But with that run we see there, that's something we haven't seen out of Joran Brown in the last couple weeks, which is sort of that explosion. One of his strengths is his ability to fight through contact and just pick up chunk play after chunk play because he's hard to bring down. He very much struggled to do that against St. Norbert's, and it's been short gains again and again for Joran Brown today.
As Bosch dropping back, fires across the middle to Wes Jackson, who's brought down for a loss. And that'll do it for this drive. CUC is going to have to march out the punt unit again. And I know WLC's bringing the pressure here, Jonathan, but Colin Bosch just looks a little out of sorts in terms of his pocket presence. He was dropping back well over 10 yards on that play, and that means that the throw to Wes Jackson didn't even cross the line of scrimmage.
And, I mean, it's also just the decision-making on that check down to Wes Jackson. There were two defenders already on Wes Jackson. Jackson didn't even have the chance to make a move upfield before he's being dragged down to the ground. You can beat the blitz by getting the ball out, but you also need to find a way to beat it and make a play.
WLC started to make a play. Connor Martin on the punt return, and he quickly stepped out of bounds to avoid any damage from the CUC defense. 13:31 to go here in the first half as WLC get the ball back, see what they can do here on yet another drive. Through 4 drives, WLC has scored a TD on all of them except one drive, which the Cougars forced a punt. Other than that, it has been the receiving game. Emmett Hawkins with a pair of touchdowns, and Jameel Gordon with one of his own. as this is going to be a handoff, and Hygis breaks off, still on his feet, as he is running left to right and now steps out of bounds. And pardon me, that is actually Carson Kohler, number 20, the freshman, who kind of toying with the CUC defense there. He never really seemed to have that much speed behind him after that first explosion, but he just kept running and dodging until he steps out of bounds. Good run there out of the freshman from Michigan.
And he didn't have the speed behind him, but he had the space. Got a massive hole created by the offensive line. With the defensive play call the Cougars had, the middle of the field was wide open. Plenty of space. Just get upfield and manipulate those defenders into those one-on-one movements so you can get those cuts and jukes.
Swings it out to Gordon, who's brought down. CUC maybe getting some flashbacks in their eyes on that play. Gordon is brought down successfully, however, and that is actually Drew Mears, pardon me, number 16. So CUC makes it 2nd down and 7 on their own 27-yard line. Carson Kohler back in the backfield with Barbian, Hawkins, and Gordon, the touchdown receivers, to Barbian's left, while Drew Mears to his right. As Kohler jumps out, man in motion. That's Keith Johnson, the tight end. Johnson was wide open, but Barbian goes downfield and just out of reach of Emmett Hawkins. Hawkins almost with the hat trick touchdown in just over a quarter of play. Instead, that'll bring up 3rd down and 7. Big chance for a stop here for the Cougs defense.
And that play just shows the confidence behind this passing game that Wisconsin Lutheran has. You just send 2 players on the streak and go route, and you're going to them no matter what. You're confident your receivers can beat the secondary, and Hawkins actually did beat his man there. A ball just out of his reach, unable to bring it in.
11:57 as it will be a handoff, and CUC unable to bring down Kohler as he's going to get a 1st down. Gutsy play call there by WLC to rush it on 3rd and 7, but Carson Kohler, who's listed as the number 2 running back, he's making a name for himself on this drive, and he gets it 1st and 10 inside the CUC red zone.
And the Cougars just selling out on the pass defense, and it creates that big gap in the middle of the field for the running back to just get upfield, get the necessary yardage, and create those one-on-one opportunities.
So we get a timeout now, and it will be on Concordia. You can see the defensive coaching staff in a bit of distress here as they are all flustered. WLC running and passing all over them so far today. The Warriors on top of the Cougars, 21-0, 11-17 to go here in the first half. We'll see what they can do when we're back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second. Timeout over. Cougars defense trying to get themselves under control as they are on the doorstep of giving up another touchdown in this first half. WLC on top of them, 21-0. 11-17 to go here in the first 30 minutes of action as Barbian fakes the handoff, finds Jameel Gordon across the middle. Gordon dodges one tackler, is brought down just before the goal line. It will be a 1st down, and WLC is on the doorstep of touchdown number 4 on the afternoon.
And that just hurts for the CUC defense. One of the most effective blitzes we've seen from this defense today. They got to the QB, and Barbian just beats it no sweat, finding a wide open Jameel Gordon and getting it right up to the goal line.
1st and goal on the CUC 2. Carson Kohler in the backfield for WLC along with Bryce Barbian. 2 receivers to his left, empty set on to the right of Barbian. as he's going to look to the left and finds Jameel Gordon. Big hit after the catch, but it is a catch indeed. Jameel Gordon makes it 27-0 with his second touchdown of the day. And WLC's offense continues to roll here in River Forest.
It's just textbook goal line play. Short routes, get your receiver out there, have him cut out on the flat, gives them enough separation to get the ball there cleanly. They might take a hit, but the ball's there, and as long as they can hold on to it, it's an easy touchdown.
Yeah, Gordon took a big hit in the air, but like you said, Jonathan, able to hold on to it. Comes down for the touchdown as Ortega gets set. Try to make it 28-0 on the PAT. Kick is up, and it is good. Our new foe, Ortega's perfect so far today. Almost perfect is his offense as they're up 28-0 thanks to this latest touchdown catch from Jameel Gordon.
And it's actually not a perfect pass from Barbie, and it's up in the air. Gordon has to jump up for it, so it's not fully in stride. But, yeah, Gordon, we've seen today he's a speedster. He can beat a player in a one-on-one heading out to the perimeter, but right there showing off his big catch ability, able to get up there, hang on to it through the big hit. And the easiest place for the Warriors to beat the Cougars today was going to be on the offense, just try and outshoot the Cougars offense, beat this defense. They're absolutely killing it on offense. They've figured out how to beat this Cougars defense. They're mixing in the pass. They're mixing in the run. They're just doing a great job of manipulating this defense to be just constantly on the back foot, constantly trying to catch up to the play calling that this Wisconsin Lutheran offense is putting out on the field.
Yeah, this WLC offense coming into today is averaging 24 points per game. That is fifth best in the conference. They've already eclipsed that number in under 20 minutes of game time. And again, they have plenty of more time to add on to it as this kick, high archer and Jace Levi is there to reel it in as Levi starts moving left to right. Levi finds some space up the far sideline. There's a flag. What a throw from the referee on that flag as Jace Levi, good return. We'll have to see if it stands, but holy moly. Someone needs to get that ref a 10-day contract. He hurled that thing downfield. We'll just have to see what it's about now.
Looks like the official signaling over to the Cougars side of the field again. And you had a couple Cougars on the ground and a Warrior on the ground.
Holding on the return team. That backed them up on the last good return from Jaden Pointer. So the Cougars, two good returns so far today, have been erased by holding penalties. And if you're a special teams coordinator, Sevi Lubril, you need to figure this out quick because you cannot keep having good returns. When your offense is struggling, that return game can help you out immensely, getting you better field positioning. But when you have a holding penalty every other return, that's going to do you no good. As CUC back within their own 20 to start, Colton Bosch will hold on to the ball as he's brought down a gain of about 4. Ball actually started on the 21, so just past the 20 was starting position for the Cougars. Ball now moves to the 24, so gain of 3 on the QB keep by Colton Bosch.
And the Cougs, they need to find a way to get this offense working efficiently. You're down big in the second quarter. You want to try and get the momentum, and an efficient offensive operation is the way to do that.
And Colton Bosch on the move, a good throw, and dropping it was the intended receiver. Trying to make out who the intended receiver was.
It looks like Manuel Mendoza. That's right. Nope.
Well, whoever was not able to reel it in. 3rd and 7 now for the Cougars offense. Man brought down in the backfield. Bosch staying on his feet, and he fires a bullet to Henry Jones. Good hold there by Henry Jones for first down. Took a big hit from behind, but he held on, and Cougars moved the chains here on a big 3rd down conversion.
And I mean, we've been kind of critical of the way that Bosch has handled this pass rush from Wisconsin. But right there, he handled it perfectly. Hung in the pocket for a bit, moves up and to the right once the pass rush gets around behind him, and then finds a pass far enough upfield to make a positive gain.
As Bosch is brought down here. Good initial penetration out of Mitchell Smarzinski. He tripped up Bosch. Bosch stayed upright, but then the secondary help came, and Bosch brought down Zerminski, also coming from behind.
And it wasn't really even the secondary help. It was after that initial sack attempt, they're right back up, and they're bringing down Bosch again. Bosch evades it, but then he doesn't move, and he just kind of forgets that there's still going to be a man back there after you beat him the first time.
Right, you got to take a couple steps in one direction just to give yourself some space. As again, pocket awareness has been a point of difficulty for Colton Bosch today. Second down and 19 as he is all the way back, and he floats one to Joran Brown, who gets it past the line of scrimmage for a few yards. And we've seen Colton Bosch. He's been on the run as he was back a good 15 or so yards. That would have been a catastrophic sack if it happened.
I mean, it's a positive gain, which is honestly all you can ask for on a play like that. There was no protection at the point of attack for Colton Bosch. You had 3 men headed right towards you. Even if that's a screen play, you need a bit more of a chip block than that.
Yeah, I think that pass traveled over 15 yards itself, and it only turned into a gain of about 2 or 3. As Bosch looking now, standing in the pocket, swings it out. Henry Jones, 2 defenders in front of him. Henry Jones makes a miss, gets it back to just about the original line of scrimmage. So after a handful of plays, the Cougars right back where they started. 4th down and 10 as they are going to bring out the punt unit once more. Dennis Vanderplow out there.
Vanderplow, he's had a pretty good day today, especially relative to his performance on the season. He's had his longest punt of the year so far today.
3 punts for 129 yards, 43 average, and a long of 60. That is his longest on the year. As Vanderplow knocks this one into the air, it's going to take a couple bounces. CUC will be the first players. As they're saying that might have hit a WLC. Now they're just going to wait. There's a Warrior rolling around on the ground, and for a second, I think the Cougars thought that it hit him, and still they just let it roll. I don't believe it did. I think they would have picked it up if it had, but that was dangerously close to making contact.
I mean, how
with the
lucky
Warrior.
do you have to be from WLC's side? You've got a guy rolling around on the ground right by the ball, and it just takes that perfect bounce to just work around the edge. And it's honestly a good job. I didn't catch who it was on the ground to just keep rolling, just to try and get out of the way of the ball as fast as you can.
Yeah, as weird as it would have been, if that ball touched him, that's a live ball. CUC could scoop it up and possibly take it home for a touchdown. Instead, by the skin of their teeth, WLC gets the ball back. A little flip here to Emmett Hawkins in the backfield. He takes a big hit for a gain of 4. Less than 7 minutes to play here in the first half.
We've talked about this defense being flustered. Another aspect of it is they've been out on the field a lot today. This Cougars offense has really struggled to put together consistently sustained drives. It's 3 and out, 3 and out. They had that one drive that got onto the attacking half, and then this last drive, get 1 first down, and then you're punting it off again. This defense has not been getting much of a breather today.
Well, the defense almost gets to Barbie, and he somehow stays on his feet, and he floats it just over the outstretched hands of Mears. And now there's a flag. How Bryce Barbian stayed up, I do not know, as he almost made it a first down. We'll have to see what this flag is about now.
It's a late flag coming in from the near sideline.
Referee's talking over for a second, as now we should get set for the official call. Referee's still conferring. Now one of them talking to Coach Hankins on the CUC sideline.
And looks like he's explaining it to Coach Hankins, but the Warriors' offense is backtracking on the field. So I believe, if I heard him right, an eligible receiver downfield.
And the Cougars, they decline it because they want this to stay at third down. So instead of backing up the WLC offense, they're going to take their chances with a 3rd and 6. We'll see what happens here. This could either be a home run call from the Cougars or could really bite them back, as now a couple players jump, and that's going to blow the whistle dead as Cougars signaling towards WLC. So they might back themselves up anyways.
How about that? You get the 3rd down, and then you get the 11 to go for the 1st down. So works out perfectly on the decision from the Cougars. But even then, that is the right call to decline that penalty from CUC. 5 yards, 10 yards, it hasn't made much of a difference for this WLC offense. They're picking up yards at will so far today. So you might as well try and lower their down-to-go opportunities.
So a adjustment to the game clock, 6 minutes and 26 seconds, up from where it was previously at 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So referees want that 1 second back. We'll see if that makes a big difference here in that second half, as here's the snap to Barbian. Barbian looking downfield, pressure trying to get to him, and he finds Hawkins. Hawkins escapes one tackler, and he's going to get a 1st down. Emmett Hawkins, he had a defender around his helmet, and he still somehow shook it off.
It's a good job just standing, planting your feet, and just holding through until you feel the man coming off of you. But again, it's that secondary, that first hack. You got to get those open field tackles, that first opportunity. That's actually a great opportunity to bring down Hawkins. But the Warriors able to take advantage of it, able to pick up that 1st down.
Well, 6 minutes to go here in the first half of play. WLC, after a weird set of downs, including a couple penalties, they got themselves a fresh set as Hawkins reels that in. He is tackled, however, by Jonathan Ungst. Ungst, cornerback for CUC, junior out of Louisville, Michigan. CUC does pull heavily from the Michigan area. That is where Coach Hankins kind of focused his efforts in the past 2 years he spent as the offensive coordinator here at the Cougars football team. Now he's got a chance to make his mark as head coach. Was hired earlier this year, right after the new year. And the offense has looked greatly improved. The results have not always followed. Hawkins escapes one tackler and now moves into the open field. And Evan Hawkins, there it is, touchdown number 3 for the sophomore. And WLC continues to build their lead. They're up 34-0 over the Cougars. 5:15 to go here in the second quarter.
And we've seen that one-on-one matchup a lot. I mean, the Cougars, Jonathan Ungst, he's your only starting defensive back who's not a freshman. So you're going to put him on that number 1 receiver. And Hawkins has been having a day going up against the secondary as a whole. But again, Jonathan Ungst unable to get that first tackle. Hawkins is able to slip free and then just open space moving left on the field.
Ortega gets set for another PAT kick. Snap is down. The kick is up, and the referee's hands are up, signaling good field goal, as it is now 35-0. And how about we take a look at Emmett Hawkins' 3rd touchdown reception of the day. Like you said, Jonathan, breaks that first tackle, and then he has nothing but open room. And that was Isaac Young. He was that second defender there in front of Hawkins, and I think he just kind of misplayed Hawkins, as all Hawkins had to do was start streaking to his left, and he was off to the races for a touchdown.
And when you see Young kind of standing there, it's like he plants himself, and he's like, I'm not going to let Hawkins beat me. I'm not going to let him beat me. I'm not going to let him juke me out. But then you find yourself flat-footed, and you're going to get beat either way.
Yeah, he was too far. It gave Hawkins a little too much space to re-engage, speed back up after the missed tackle from Ungst. That's the other thing, is you see the Cougars, the defenders, they keep trying to tackle Hawkins up high. Well, Hawkins, I mean, the guy stands at 6 foot. He's not a short player, so when you tackle him up high, all he has to do is kind of bend around you. He's a lengthy player, too. He doesn't He's not that big, so all he has to do is kind of bend his upper body around you, and he is free. So they're going to need to start wrapping up that hip, wrapping up those legs, or else Hawkins is going to keep getting those yards after contact. As Jaden Pointer drops it, still trying to pick it up as he ran into Jace Levi. Now Pointer going the wrong way. Now he's going the right way. Jaden Pointer, oh my goodness, as he stands up a tackler and is pushed out. And now we get some extracurriculars. Flags start flying, but we'll see where this one stands. Jaden Pointer went from oh no to oh yes in a matter of seconds. Flashes of Tariq Cohen on that play. Going the wrong way, then he was going the right way. We'll just have to see where this stands after the end of play extracurriculars.
Yeah, it looked like best guess that's going to be over on Wisconsin Lutheran in some way. It looked like Pointer went up into the sidelines. So either Pointer did something in the sidelines, but it looked like Ortega kind of chased after Pointer into the sidelines too.
So we'll wait for the call of the play. As of now, it's a huge return from Jaden Pointer, who took a couple of seconds to even scoop up the ball. He kind of ran into Jace Levi as the referee heads down for the call. So 15-yard penalty, illegal misconduct on the WLC Warriors. So it's 15 yards added to the end of the run by Pointer. As for the first time today, Cougars actually catch a break. They catch 2 breaks, really, on that kick return, as they have a chance to really make some noise here. Great field positioning inside the WLC 45-yard line.
There's a lot to break down. With that penalty, it's Mikolai Amaya Overchook, the kickoff kicker, and you make the big play. You make the tackle. You save the touchdown, but you can't go chasing after. You can't let getting beat on the big return get in your head, and you do. And you've given this Cougars offense their best opportunity of the day because of that.
And depending on how long CC takes, we know that they can wind the clock out. They might be able to bring this one to the end of the half. They get the second half kickoff, too. So you play your cards right. If you're Coach Hankins and the Cougars offense, you could have a 14-point swing here. I know that only brings you within 21 points, but still.
You gotta start somewhere.
The 14-point swing could get momentum as Joron Brown pushes through, and he's brought down finally. So 3rd down already, and this is probably going to be the worst-case scenario for CUC. If they don't convert here, you have great fielding position, and you might go 3 and out, though, of course, they are in 4-down territory, so they might have 2 plays left on this set of downs. We did see them punt it earlier in the game from about the same area in the first quarter. I'd be interested to see what the 4th down will look like. If we get there, however, Colton Bosch looking, slings it, and it is broken up, and no flags on the play. That was good coverage out of the defensive back for WLC, Kaysen McFadden. He wrapped up his offensive player, and they are going to go for it. The Cougars, Colton Bosch still out on the field, 4th down and 5. Ball on the WLC 37.
You see that personnel getting changed around, and you're just sending out all of your receivers. Cougars empty backfield for 4th and mid-distance.
4 receivers, 2 Bosch's left, 1 to his right. As Bosch takes the snap. Bosch looking, slings it across the middle and as well over the head of Henry Jones. And that will be a turnover on downs for the Cougars. And like I said, Jonathan, that's about the worst-case scenario for CUC. You get the big return. You get the big penalty on top of the big return, and then you go 4 downs and done. That just cannot happen if you're the CUC offense if you want to get back in this one.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of honestly the best passing opportunities we've seen from the Cougars today. It's an empty backfield, 5 receivers. Jones had a bit of separation. So did Devin Bledsoe behind him. And Bosch just misses. He has struggled with accuracy on the season. He has the lowest completion percentage in the conference, and that crops up there on a big 4th and mid-distance. You talked about that 14-point swing. You could get a lot of momentum. That takes out a bit of momentum from the Cougars because that's just going to beat you down.
And Bryce Barbian, he says, I'm doing it myself. Bryce Barbian, a house call for the WLC quarterback. And everything is going the way of the Warrior here in River Forest. Bryce Barbian, he can pass it. His running backs can rush it. His receivers can catch it, and he can rush it too. It is 47-0, 3:33 to go here in the first half.
And the Cougars leaving no safeties. Defensive backs all get drawn to the receivers on the outside. Wide open space for Barbian.
Arnulfo Ortega will get set. He was Special Team Player of the Week in the NAC back on September 29th of the season. So he's got some pedigree to his name, and so far he has been perfect on the PATs, as it is now 42-0. As you can see the replay, not much to say here. Bryce Barbian just beats the first defenders, takes it all the way to the house.
And again, it's that secondary. There was no safeties. The Cougars cover 0 on that play. And then the secondary, they sold out for the line of scrimmage. They started charging up on the check down receivers. And that's just 60 yards of green turf for Barbian to just take advantage of. He didn't even have to make a cut once he got past the line of scrimmage. It was just a straight shot to the end zone. You rarely see a quarterback get an opportunity to scramble for that much of a gain with that much space.
So Bryce Barbian, 63 yards to the house, says how do you do to the Cougars defense. He's torn them apart through the air, and now he is the leading rusher for Wisconsin Lutheran as well, with just one carry. As it is 42-0, a little over 3.5 minutes to play here in the first half, and now a touchdown is a must for the Cougars, Jonathan. I mean, again, they still can set, kind of like what I said a couple minutes ago, they can still set them up for a 14-point swing here. Not that that's going to cut into a 42-point lead that much, but it is something as Jace Levi speeds up. He gets a good return. 35 yards, and for the first time in what feels like forever, no flag on the CUC kick return, as the Warriors will get set for what could be their last defensive stop of the half. This is a Warriors defense who, coming into today, they're allowing 20.5 points per game, which is a pretty good mark, and so far they are well on track to beat that on the season. WLC has not had a shutout yet. They allowed just 6 points to Eureka on the 21st of September, and then just 7 points to Benedictine this past weekend on the 19th. As here's the handoff to Henry Jones. Jones shakes off a couple tacklers, but really does not turn it into much. He gets about 2 yards on the play, as the clock will keep on a ticking here.
Yeah, just no hole on the near side of the field for Jones to try and exploit. You have 2 blockers, but you have 3 or 4 defenders over there anyways, and it's a good job of making that open field tackle from the Wisconsin Lutheran defense.
Under 3 minutes to play here in the second half. Remember, the 2-minute warning made its way to the college game this season, so we will have to get set for that. Devin Bledsoe, first time we've called his name today, and he's turned it into a big game. Devin Bledsoe shakes off a few tacklers before getting pushed out of bounds by Connor Martin. But Devin Bledsoe, I've always, Bledsoe has been here since 21, the same time I got here, and I've always wondered why the Cougars don't use him a little bit more. He's a tall receiver. He's got good hands, and he can make plays like that. He's hard to bring down, and the Cougars maybe going to him a bit more is going to be the key to unlocking this offense.
And because that's exactly what you need in a situation like this. The Cougars, it's not even a lack of big plays. It's a lack of chunk plays, and then you get a big play there. You need those big gains of 5 or more yards to really get your offense cooking again.
You can see Colton Bosch. He's looking for Bledsoe, and Bledsoe not able to reel it in. Good coverage there out of Xavion Allen, the senior out of Roy's City out in Texas. All-NAC honorable mention last season. He's had 78 total tackles through his 32 games played as a Warrior, including 12 pass defensive plays, 5 interceptions as well for Allen. And as you can see, Colton Bosch was looking at Devin Bledsoe that whole time. as Bosch will now roll out. He's got pressure right in his face, and he has to get rid of it. Big hit as that ball was already on the ground before Wes Jackson took a shot in the back from the WLC player.
And again, just no protection, no time for Colton Bosch. And that looked like it was a designed screen with where Bosch rolled out to, but there was no blocking over on where the screen's going to anyways. The play just unable to work out for the Cougars.
2:10 to go here in the first half. CUC likely their last play before the 2-minute warning. They put a man in motion as Troy Prattley will keep it himself. Prattley gets a good gain, not enough for a first down, but he makes it fourth and very manageable as we hit the 2-minute warning now. So 4th down and 2 for CUC as the 2-minute warning will stop the play for the Cougars, down 42-0. They're going to take a break. The Warriors are going to take a break, and we're going to take a break as well. And when we come back, 2 minutes to go, Warriors on top of CUC 42-0. Fourth and 2, the Cougs are going to go for it. Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network. 2 minutes remain here in the first half as CUC trailing WLC big 42-0. Troy Prattley staying in at quarterback. He's had the most consistent success against the Warriors, I think, in his couple of snaps here. He's got a couple receivers to his left. He puts a man in motion, and Prattley's going to hold it, trying to sidestep his way to the first down. Does he get it? He does not. WLC. Good job by the defense. You could tell Prattley was ready to fall forward, and the Warriors stand him up, bring him down, and that is another turnover on downs for the Cougars, which unless some shenanigans ensue here in the next minute 52, that means CUC is likely heading into the halftime break with a big goose egg on the board. But the Warriors, meanwhile, with how well they're moving on the ball, they have a chance to tack on some more here, already up by 42. That first team of offense still out there. Barbian, along with Jameel Gordon. I do not see Emmett Hawkins, however. He already has 3 touchdowns on the day. Barbian fakes a handoff, and now he throws it. And escaping pressure. There's a fumble and a ball picked up. CUC with Marvin rushing. He's going to take it all the way to the end zone. Scoop and score for Marvin rushing. Some shenanigans do ensue. And the Cougars get their first points of the day. There is a flag. We'll have to make sure it stands.
Marvin rushing, he started long stepping. He started celebrating at the 5 as he's going into the end zone. And that was exactly what the official looking at that threw out the flag.
WLC still on the field as well. They're calling it back.
Yep. And that's a college taunting unsportsmanlike conduct where we saw introduced a couple years ago. And if you do any sort of high-stepping celebration before the end zone, if the official calls the foul on it, because it's prior to the score, it calls back the score. It's a 15-yard from the spot of the foul. You keep the ball. You keep the turnover, but it wipes out the touchdown. It's an absolute killer for teams on returns. It's something that regardless of whether or not you think it's a good rule, you just can't do it anymore. And it's a huge blow for this CUC team. That was a huge momentum shift. I mean, it's still a momentum shift. You got your fumble recovery, but losing the touchdown just sucks the life out of you.
Well, and I said, I talked about, jokingly that, if shenanigans didn't ensue in the last minute 52, it was going to be a 0 in the first half for the Cougars, and that was the definition of what I thought was not going to happen. And again, it's just, yeah. I mean, I get it from I get it from both sides of the point of view. I mean, the players, they want to celebrate, and I don't think that what Rushing did was too egregious. I mean, we've seen some pretty, let's say, violent celebrations in the college football world so far this year. High stepping does not fall under that category, but like you said, Jonathan, it's a rule, and you have to know that rule as much as you may disagree with it. Colton Bosch now rolling out to the sideline. He's just going to get rid of it, as it'll bring up third down, and this would be adding insult to the injury if you get the touchdown brought back and now you can't punch it in when you're starting in the red zone. So you see third down and 8. They haven't had a ton of breaks today. Anytime something seems to go well for the Cougars, it is usually brought back. A couple of good returns brought back, and now a scoop and score by Marvin Rushing is recalled. 3rd and 7, Bosch looking. He's got plenty of time. He finds Henry Jones across the middle, and wrapping up Jones is Allen. They're going to say it was a yard short of a first down. So 4th down and 1. The clock is running. Less than 45 seconds to go. CUC does have 2 timeouts left, so plenty of time, as they're going to let the clock continue running. 4th down. This will likely do it for the half if WLC can get a stop. CUC empty backfield. It's just Colton Bosch. Bosch pauses, and now CUC is going to use a timeout. 26 seconds remain on the big board as the Cougars want to talk things over. 4th down and 2. They got to punch this in, or that'll likely do it for the half.
And that works out for CUC. 26 seconds is enough time to make execute some plays from the 10-yard line.
Especially with one more timeout in your back pocket as well.
Exactly. So you just drain off some more time off the clock. 20 seconds, it's not a lot of time, but we have seen drives be one play and a touchdown for this Wisconsin Lutheran offense. So if you get a touchdown, you want to have as little time left on the clock for that Warriors offense before you head into the locker room. So good clock management from this Cougars coaching staff with that timeout.
Yeah, and Wisconsin Lutheran, they have all 3 of their timeouts left. So if they get the ball quickly here, whether that be lighting up a touchdown or getting a 4th down stop, they have plenty of time to at least get field goal range for a NAC Special Teamer of the Week in Arnulfo Ortega. That was back in September, as I mentioned earlier. And Bosch finds a man in the end zone for a touchdown. Cougars on the board thanks to Randall Bills, the freshman running back out of Missouri. And that is a touchdown, Cougars.
There it is, Colton Bosch. Perfect placement on the pass. In stride at the goal line, perfectly timed. It's a great catch, too. He was blanketed. Bills was blanketed by that coverage. Perfectly placed, perfectly received.
As for Randall Bills, these are his stats so far from the year coming into today. 2 receptions for 4 yards, and that is it. He's been on the return team for the Cougars, as the PAT is good, and now we have a replay here. But Randall Bills, Coach Hankins calling up his number, and he pays it off with the first TD of the day for CUC.
If you get the opportunity, you've got to take advantage of it, and that's exactly what Bills does. It was good coverage. That's a great catch from Randall Bills. He was not wide open, and CUC able to salvage the drive, able to pick up the touchdown after the scoop and score was called back. And now you have some momentum as you get ready to head into the half. 21.4 seconds left on the clock. We'll have to see if Wisconsin Lutheran does choose to go all out with these 21 seconds. But 21 seconds is enough time for this Warriors offense to execute. They're high-powered, and they've been very explosive today. So CUC's defense can't rest just yet.
21 seconds. It'll probably be closer to about 15 depending on what this kickoff does. And they have 3 timeouts. They might try and take a shot downfield, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, they might just wave the white flag. If it does, they might try some get some bigger plays off. Here is Carson Kohler. Kohler looking and evades a couple tacklers. Carson Kohler brought down, and that does waste a good chunk of time. Clock down to 13. So WLC likely has a chance for one play, maybe two, as they start with the ball on their own 33-yard line. Being out there, he does have a man in the backfield with him.
Emmett Hawkins and Jameel Gordon both out in the perimeter as receivers, so your 1 and 2 receivers are available with these plays.
Snap, and they're just going to rush it. Carson Kohler, he's off to the races. He gets the first down, brought down with just under 6 seconds left on the game clock. There's a flag as well. As WLC starting to back up.
It'll probably be some sort of hold, yep.
Holding on the Warriors, and unless they want to try and shot downfield, I'm fairly certain they'll just take the knee on this play, avoid any further self-harm, and head into the locker room with a 42-7 lead.
That's kind of annoying if you're the Warriors. They probably would have gone for the end zone with one play if that run did stand. But I do set up for a standard play. It will probably be a run. There's no point in risking losing possession.
And they're just going to let the clock run out. Again, the clock does start once the chains have been reset. So Coach Tresky of the Warriors would have needed to use a timeout if he wanted to get another playoff. Instead, he says, nah, let's just run out the last 6. And that is how we head into the halftime break. So, Cougars welcoming the Warriors to River Forest this chilly Saturday afternoon, and the Warriors up 42-7 heading into the halftime break. The Cougars, they got things to figure out on both sides of the ball. We'll see what Coach Hankins and the rest of his staff come up with during the halftime break. We'll be back here on the Cougar Sports Network in about 20 minutes for second half action between the Cougars and the Warriors.
A CUC nursing student and choose to stand tall for healing at a university that places Christ at the center and embraces teaching students to live a life fulfilled by purpose and meaning. Concordia University Chicago's new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree is an innovative and rigorous 4-year program that will prepare you to rise to the daily challenges of a rewarding nursing career and serve a greater cause. Our newly built modern simulation center features 4 distinct spaces: a skills attainment lab, multi-specialty intensive care spaces, a health assessment learning center, and a simulated home environment. Due to our close proximity to many world-class teaching hospitals, CUC's clinical rotations offer an abundance of diverse and real-world experiences. Learn more about earning your BSN at a Christ-centered university today.
Hey, I'm Monica here at Concordia University Chicago, and we're here outside of Concordia Hall. Concordia Hall is the university's newest residence hall, right on the edge of campus, perfect for students who want to explore the nearby downtown of Oak Park and River Forest. The flexible suite-style living in fully furnished bedrooms lets students choose what works best for them. Every floor is complete with a community lounge and full common kitchen, with a kitchenette, I'm Monica here at Concordia University Chicago, and we're here outside of Concordia Hall. Concordia Hall is the university's newest residence hall, right on the edge of campus, perfect for students who want to explore the nearby downtown of Oak Park and River Forest. The flexible suite-style living in fully furnished bedrooms lets students choose what works best for them. Every floor is complete with a community lounge and full common kitchen, with a kitchenette, microwave, sink, and refrigerator. The first floor offers the Victory Lounge, connecting to 2 additional residence halls, with no shortage of ways to relax. You're also right next to an open, outdoor plaza, better known as Victory Lane. So now we're here in Concordia Hall's suite-style dorm room, and this is a really nice place to just hang out and chill. And since it's so big, there's plenty of room to spread out and do your homework and just relax. So now making our way into one of the bedrooms, there's plenty of space in this room for you and your roommate. A lot of times students will move the desks so that they've got their separate study space, but my roommate and I, we get along really well, so we can just work together here in the same space. Sometimes I like doing art as well, as you can see by the painting here. It's a 16 by 10 feet space, and most rooms on campus are 10 by 12 feet. So it's really nice to have a little extra space to work with here in Concordia Hall. So this hall is super close to the chapel and the Kennedy Community Center, which has the new Crossroads Dining Hall. So the location is super convenient. And I really love the city scene too. The location here is the closest on campus to the Oak Park River Forest downtown area, which has a ton of great stores and restaurants. Speaking of the city scene, I adore the view from this lounge because you can see the Chicago skyline right there. Concordia Hall at Concordia University Chicago.
Down through the ages, God has called and equipped people to make a real difference in the lives of others. To lead, to heal, to stand tall. For 160 years, Concordia University Chicago has been preparing the next generation of leaders with the wisdom, faith, and values to make an impact in the world, to share the gifts God gave them and answer the call to a life fulfilled by purpose and truth, to be living examples of what it means to live with Christ at the center as we serve others. Because at CUC, we don't run away from adversity, we go towards it. We don't shrink from our faith, we lead with it. We are teachers, caregivers, and musicians, scientists, pastors, and business leaders, unshakable pillars of strength and integrity who serve a cause greater than ourselves. And the world needs us now more than ever. Learn how a degree from Concordia University Chicago can help you be the pillar the world needs to stand for something greater. The only question is, are you ready to stand tall?
What's up, Cougar Nation? Want to catch up on all the CUC football action you missed so far this year? Stick around on our YouTube channel and click the football playlist to see our highlights, interviews, and all previous games. Thank you for all your support.
Second half action about to kick off between the Cougars and the Warriors. And it has so far been the WLC show here in River Forest, taking a 42-7 lead over the Cougars into the final 30 minutes of play. Peter Borkowski, Jonathan Shear, still with you on the Cougar Sports Network. Let's look over some of the statistics so far today. First for WLC, leading passer has, of course, been Bryce Barbian, 265 passing yards, 17 for 20. Completion percentage for Barbian, 85%. He has 5 passing touchdowns on the day. His receivers, Emmett Hawkins, having himself a day, 9 receptions for 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. His longest reception was 48 yards. Jameel Gordon, he's got a pair of touchdowns himself with 4 receptions for 69 yards. And in the rushing game, Bryce Barbian, 2 rushes for 65 yards and a touchdown. And the leading running back is Liam Hygest, 4 rushes for 43 yards. And that is how WLC got to their 42-point lead. CUC, however, quarterback play, Colton Bosch, 8 for 17 for a 47 completion percentage, 65 yards and 1 touchdown at the very end of that half. Rushing-wise, it is Joron Brown leading the way, 9 rushes for 40 yards, and receiving, it has been Devin Bledsoe, just 1 reception for 26 yards. Randall Bills catching the lone touchdown reception of the day. Turnovers, CUC has forced 1 fumble. It looked like there was a touchdown for a second until a taunting penalty called back the scoop and score by Marvin Rushing. And that is how we got to where we are now. Kickoff to open the second half, and Troy Pratley is going to receive it. He's tied up and brought down just before the 25-yard line. So CUC will start with the ball here. They have a chance for a 14-point swing if they can find the end zone here on this drive.
And you really do need that 14-point swing being down 35. You want to try and get that momentum as much as you can if you hope to pull off that miracle comeback or at least make it competitive. To do that, the Cougars have to put together a long, complete drive, something that we haven't seen from CUC's offense today. Their longest drive made it to about the 40-yard line before they were forced to punt it away. That's something they've struggled to do because they've struggled to put together chunk plays, and that has to be the focus in this second half.
Handoff is faked, and the Cougars with the QB run don't really gain anything. Gain of about 2 on forward progress. It is Troy Pratley who, in that first half, he got quite a few snaps under center. No passes, but he did have 4 rushes for 19 yards. As this is about the most we've seen out of Troy Pratley so far, at least at home this season, as Coach Hankins trying to find some solution to a blitz-heavy WLC defense. Pratley, he's just going to keep this one himself. Pratley evades a couple tacklers. Now he'll slide, gets another couple yards, makes it about 3rd and 5.
And it's those short gains, which has been the most consistent gains the Cougars have been getting today. These read options with Troy Pratley on our sender, but you're still going to end up in these third and middle distance, and the Cougars have struggled on third down conversions a lot today.
Troy Pratley will stay out there for the 3rd down, and he's going to look to pass it. Pratley, the pass got tipped. Did Henry Jones bring it in? And they're going to say he did. Henry Jones able to barely reel it in, and that'll be enough for a 1st down. Troy Pratley's pass got tipped, and credit Henry Jones, able to still reel it in even as he was falling to the ground.
And pulling off a pass with Troy Pratley, that's big for this CUC offense if they want to try and make that work, because this Wisconsin Lutheran defense has just been able to hone in on the run with Pratley under center.
Good gain here on the play by Randall Bills. Has the lone touchdown on the afternoon for CUC. It was a pass from Colton Bosch. So it'll be 2nd down and 5 now. Still have not seen Bosch in the second half of action. Randall Bills in motion. Pratley will keep it himself. Pratley able to tumble forward for a gain of 2. As CUC trying to get Randall Bills involved in the offense a little bit more. Again, he came into this game with just 2 rushes and quite a number of plays on special teams, but nothing on the regular offensive side of the ball, but Coach Hankins likes what he's been seeing out of the freshman running back. Get him some more looks here early in the second half, as he does leave the field for this play, however. And hang on, I'm trying to figure out what happened. Prattley with a hard count. Man jumped. The snap came anyways. Luckily, the play was dead. Devin Bledsoe did make the catch downfield. So we'll have to see who jumped. WLC believe they're admitting defeat here.
So you don't get the free play, but from what it looks like, it's going to be a first down. So the Cougars, you pick up the first down, you get closer to the 50. So that's a win for CUC. A good hard count from Troy Prattley getting the Warriors to jump. And the Warriors, they've been very disciplined today. We haven't seen too many penalties from Wisconsin Lutheran's side of the field. But that's a costly one. 3rd and short, and give up the first on an offsides.
Yeah, hard count was so successful. He got his own center to snap the ball even. Cougars, a change at center coming into this afternoon. Matt Godard, the freshman out of St. Charles, Missouri, getting the start over the usual center, Jalen Franklin, as here's a nice pass out to the wing. Wes Jackson able to get the first down and some more. He's another player CUC's been trying to get involved in the offense. Wes Jackson, a sophomore, came to CUC as a quarterback and has made the full transition to tight end this season, and he has looked great so far while serving in that role. Receiving-wise, Wes Jackson's got himself 4 touchdowns on the season. That is second on the Cougars' receiving core, only to Jace Levi. First down and 10 on the WLC 38. Prattley has been in control of this drive. Puts a man in motion. Handoff to Joran Brown. Brown gets stood up at the line. Won't get any kind of gain. Nice play there primarily by Savon Goodwin.
And for as successful as this Troy Prattley offense has been this drive, they haven't been able to get really any of those runs up the middle with a standard running back to work whatsoever. And you see that again. This Wisconsin Lutheran defense is really just honing in on the center of the field with that rushing game. They've been shutting down Jerron Brown all day today.
Second down and 10. Prattley, fake handoff. He'll keep it himself again. He spins for a gain of about 1. As you can tell, every Troy Prattley fake handoff and rush is starting to work less and less. WLC seems to be catching on to it, as it will be 3rd and 9 now for the Cougar offense, and they are going to make the switch at quarterback. Finally, Colton Bosch will trot back out. As you can tell, CUC's going to need to go through the air if they want to convert here. So first look we've gotten at Colton Bosch this second half. Empty backfield. Bosch takes a higher snap, able to bring it down. Throw downfield. Devin Bledsoe, big reception. Bledsoe sneaks into the end zone for the touchdown.
And that's just a total lapse in the secondary. And a great job from Bledsoe just to settle in.
There was a stiff arm after he crossed the goal line, too. No repercussions will come of it. Devin Bledsoe maybe unleashing a little frustration there. Not much to be frustrated about. He gets the Cougars on the board here in the second half. Second touchdown of the day for CUC. Point after is up, and it is good from Ryan Auer. It is now 42-14. 14-point swing here for the Cougars.
And again, you're going to see Devin Bledsoe just completely all alone in the center of the field. He's sitting on that free parking space of the board. And it's because that middle of the secondary pushed up. You had 3 defenders sitting around that 35-yard line spot, just dropping Bledsoe, thinking someone's picking him up behind. They are not. The deep safeties are on the side of the field watching the receivers over there. So Bledsoe wide open. The Warriors only rushed 3, which gave Bosch plenty of time to see Bledsoe get open and then make the pass right on the mark to put the Cougars back up on the board in this second half. And there's that 14-point swing, like you mentioned, Peter.
So CUC, 14 straight points, but Now the big question, of course, is going to be what can the defense do? They've been largely unable to stop WLC today. They're going to need to turn that tune around here in the second half. They want any chance of coming back. As here's the kick from Auer, a booming kick. Kohler will receive it. Kohler looking to make a return. Starts to move horizontally. Misses a few tacklers, and Carson Kohler eventually pushed out of bounds.
And that's going to get called back. Looking to be a textbook block in the back call against WLC. We've seen a lot of flags on kickoff returns today from both teams. Holding, this one will be a block in the back. Just these teams not staying clean on those kickoff returns.
So WLC will back themselves up after a decent return by Carson Kohler. 9:36 to go here in the third quarter. And again, this is going to be a huge drive for CUC's defense. They have been, for the most part, unable to stop whatever the Warriors throw at them. But if they want to get back in this game, they're going to need another score or two before you even think about letting WLC find the end zone again. They're going to need to start picking up some ground. They're going to need their defense to help them out here. Bryce Barbian still out there for the Warriors, as he will hand it off, and here's a good rush to start. That one from Tywin McKinney, sophomore out of Milwaukee.
And McKinney having no trouble of just going up the middle. We've talked a lot about the passing game from this Wisconsin Lutheran offense because it's been so electric. Their running game has been really unstoppable as well. They've just been able to send someone up the middle as much as they want and get big gains. And that there, a calculated incomplete pass from Bryce Barbian. Saw the pressure, saw the screenplay wasn't going to work out, and just throws it to the feet of Jameel Gordon, just killing that play.
So second down and 10. Barbian, he's got McKinney in the backfield. Gordon and Hawkins are to his left, two receivers to his right as well. Gordon and Hawkins, they've done the bulk of damage for WLC today. 5 combined receiving touchdowns between the duo as McKinney gets stood up. And the Cougars fired up about that play as they bring up 3rd and long here for the Warriors.
And, of course, it comes right after I talk about how successful this running game's been. That's the first tackle for loss we've seen this half, and it might just be the first of the game for the CUC defense. We haven't seen them really being able to get into the backfield consistently today.
Barbian, and he'll find Gordon. Gordon falls just before the first down, so it's a 4th and less than a yard. We're going to have to see what head coach Tresky of the Warriors does here, as right now he's keeping that offense out. Would be a gutsy play.
And not only that, he's pulling Drew Mears, who is their punter, off the field as well, so they're definitely going for it. And with how successful this offense has been, 1 yard doesn't seem like a tough ask. But with this drive, it has been. They've only had really one or two plays that's gone for more than 1 yard.
They are going to rush it. Cougars, and McKinney loses the ball. Ball still loose. Who gets it back? CUC saying they did. They're going to have to clean this pile up. Coach Hankins is fired up. I believe the referees are saying that he was down.
And even if he is down, that's a tough call to say he got there when he was down.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. That is a big play. First down for WLC. You could still see Coach Hankins fired up on the sideline. So they're saying he got the first down and then he was downed as the assistant coaches, and there's going to be a flag now on Coach Hankins. So we got a lot to clean up here.
Ooh. And I mean, CUC's defense, they did a good job of stuffing McKinney at the line. Again, it's arguable if he even got to the line. But again, that defense, incredibly confident that they got the fumble, that they had possession, or at the very minimum stopped it. And then you give up the extra 15 yards of the penalty on the head coach. If anything, though, this penalty does give the Cougars defense time to reset, because they were not clearly, with the sideline, with the players on the field, not in a mentality to be able to play defense on a play. It does give them a 10 seconds really to slow down and gather themselves. But on the back foot now, a big break for Wisconsin Lutheran.
As Barbian finds a man in Holt Chavez, who gets a good gain there. Yeah, this is a major momentum shifter. As CUC, not only have they scored 14 straight, they thought they got a turnover in WLC territory, and instead, the Warriors get the first down on 4th down. Coach Hankins gets thrown a flag, and now another decent completion to Chavez has the Warriors moving down. 2nd down and 3rd on CUC's 43. Flip here to Hawkins, and Hawkins stops, misses one tackler, and now he's finally tackled by CUC, and he's going to be just short of a first down, so here we go again.
And again, missing that first tackle. If you go for the high tackles, it's not been working on Hawkins all day. It's still not working. Again, could have been brought down behind the line. Instead, he'll make it 3rd and 1. Again, this 1 yard to go. McKinney in the backfield. He got it last time. It was controversial, but he got it. And we'll see if Wisconsin Lutheran goes to McKinney again.
Obviously not 4th down this time, as they are in 4th down territory. So even if they don't get it here, they likely have another play they can use. As they're saying the play clock hit 0. And that will result in a delay of game. CUC's sideline was the first group to really point it out. So WLC, some clock awareness, or the lack thereof, bites them, as it is now 3rd and 6.
And the offense actually started heading off to the sideline. It looked like some of them thought it was a timeout called by Coach Tresky.
Instead, 3rd down, and they're saying 3rd down and 5, 3rd down and 6. There it is. The board said 3rd and 5 for a second. It is 3rd and 6. As here's the snap. Barbian looking for a target. Barbian's got to roll out now. Tight pressure. Barbian gets it off. Jameel Gordon can't bring it in. No flags on the play, so it'll be a clean breakup by the Cougars, and that brings up 4th down on CUC's 45. You see both Barbian and Mears out on the field. Mears is still a receiver as he now heads to a receiver spot. And I believe the Warriors are going to go for it here.
I mean, they're in no man's land. If you punt, you risk just sending it for a touchback. You definitely don't have, most D3 kickers don't have the leg to even attempt a field goal from this part of the field.
4th down and 6. Barbian looking. He'll float one. He's looking for Hawkins. Hawkins tied up. Is there a flag? There is not. That was physical coverage between Isaac Young and Emmett Hawkins. It is ruled clean, and CUC gets a big turnover on downs. They'll set up on their own 45-yard line.
And that's not really gonna be a flag. One, because it's just a lob jump ball tossed up, and honestly half of that you're just hoping for a flag is kind of when you make that pass, either you get the completion or the flag. The other thing, these officials have been allowing physical play in the secondary all day. They have not called a single pass interference call all day, and both secondaries have been playing physical. Obviously it's been a lot more successful from the Warriors, but it comes up big for the Cougars on that play.
So CUC gets the ball back. They are rolling with Troy Prattley. Flag down as Joran Brown has a big rush. Still on his feet. It takes a couple of Warriors to bring him to the ground. But we'll have to see where this play ends up. Flag down at the line of scrimmage.
And it looks like the umpire signaling a hold. And the Cougars are going to start their trot back.
So it is on CUC. It'll be a replay of first down, but now they're backed up 10 yards, so it'll be 1st and 20, twice the distance to go.
That's a tough break for Joran Brown. He's had a tough day on the ground so far. And then you get your first real big play of the half, and it immediately gets called back because of an early holding call.
Handoff here to Henry Jones on the sweep. Jones isn't even able to get to the line as he's going to be brought down for a loss. Less than 4.5 to go here in the third quarter of play. As CUC's got 2nd down and over 20 yards to go before they can sniff a first down.
And you have to think that the Cougars are going to look to the air maybe on this play. The rushing game has not been really effective enough to pick up 20 yards within 2 plays. So you need to look to the air. You need to get a chunk of play on one of these next 2 plays.
And they do keep Troy Prattley out there. Prattley looking. Prattley evades a tackler. Now he's going to take off, and he's brought down from behind. And Troy Prattley looking upfield too long, gets brought down. And that's going to signal a change for QB. Prattley will be out. Bosch is in as you need Bosch's arm. And, yeah, I mean, that was 2nd down. So, really, you were just kind of focusing on let's chop the distance to go in half. Let's get back to the original line of scrimmage. And, unfortunately, WLC's pressure has just been relentless today. They bring down Prattley. And it is now 3rd and 22 for Colton Bosch. As you can see, WLC is rearing to go. They are stacking the box. They're trying to get to Bosch. They bring the pressure. Bosch has a man in his face. He's going to loft one, and it is into no man's land for an incompletion. Good pressure from Davion Towns, who was basically untouched as he went after Colton Bosch. Bosch had to get rid of it, and that'll bring up 4th and 22, Dennis Vanderplow.
I mean, he got the pass off, but he missed the target. He really just saw the man coming and just chucked it up and prayed that one of his guys would be where it got to. He had 3 wide open receivers about 10 yards downfield if he's tried to look downfield more for that short pass, and that would have worked out better for the Cougars. Likely could have gotten the first down.
As here comes Martin. Martin trying to stiff arm his way to some more yardage.
And judging by where those hands on the tackle were, that might be an extra 15 yards on a face mask on the tackle.
There's a flag down. It's right in the front of the Cougars bench, so kind of hard to see. So we'll have to see what the official call is. I think as we saw on this past Thursday night football game, face masks are sometimes optional to call. So we'll see if the refereeing crew here has something else to say. There it is. Face mask on the Cougars.
So they'll call it today. First face mask call we've seen from the official today. First real opportunity we've seen for them to call it. But mistake on coverage, and you're going to send the Warriors to a starting field position pretty much from where you punted. So it wasn't a horrible punt from Dennis Vanderplow, but the coverage was not great from this Cougars defense.
Yeah, 33-yard punt for Vanderplow, Martin returned it 10 yards, and then the flag as here comes McKinney, takes a shot off the legs. He's still running. He's dragging the pile. McKinney showing off his work in the weight room. He basically took the whole CUC defense with him as he has well more than a first yard. Tywin McKinney, 5'8", 216. He is a strong player. Despite not being the tallest player out there, and he's proved it there. it took basically the whole CUC defense and even some Warriors to take down McKinney. First down and 10 right outside the red zone. McKinney gets it again. He'll fall into the red zone now. Gets right past the 20-yard line. I think they'll mark it on the 20-yard line.
That was a good job of tackling McKinney on the short gain. Wrap him up. Don't let him get away from you and slowly bring him down. On that big gain, you saw some shoulder tackle attempts from CUC. Go low and just throw the shoulder into McKinney. He's built enough that he can just withstand that and then go again. You've got to get low. You've got to wrap him up, and that's something we've seen the Cougars struggle with on defense as a whole today, is wrapping up a player and not letting them break free for more yards.
Right, he's built enough, and he's short enough, too, that it's not going to topple him over. He's got that lower center of gravity that he can tank hits to his hips and below and still stay upright. It's not like you're going after the legs of a 6'3", 6'4 receiver. So McKinney does some good work as he'll earn himself a well-deserved breather. Swapping places with him is now Seth Voller, senior out of Appleton. Haven't seen him yet today as Coach Tresky giving some much-needed breaks to both Hyges and Carson Kohler, both of whom didn't put up a ton of yards in the first half, but did good work on the whole. As it will be a handoff to Voller. Voller finds a hole, and now Voller's going to punch it through, fall almost to the goal line. And Voller, you can tell just by looking at him, kind of the same vein as McKinney, 6 foot 220. A little bit taller than McKinney, but he looks just as strong. It's going to be tough to bring him down as well on that initial tackle.
And this drive, those runs up the middle, really just have been unstoppable from WLC's side.
They're going to let Vollers take it again, and he is going to. The ball is loose. CUC, did they get it within the end zone? That ball almost rolled out. Waiting for a call to be confirmed. So you're looking at multiple things here. You're looking at, did Vollers breach the line before he lost the ball? And if he didn't, and he lost it before he got a touchdown, did CUC get it within the end zone? And they're going to say yes. That is a massive turnover for CUC. Force a fumble on the goal line, and they're able to recover it before it rolls out of bounds. That is huge for the Cougars defense.
And you've held scores. This likely means you'll have held Wisconsin Lutheran scoreless in the third quarter. Offensive production really hasn't been there to match, but that's a big defensive play. Bend, but don't break. Get the turnover on the goal line. Huge play from this defense. Sets up their offense with the opportunity to close that gap again.
Colton Bosch will start this drive under center for CUC. Puts a man in motion, takes a low snap from Godar. He's looking. He's going to step through the pocket, and he's going to take it himself, but good tackle from Savon Goodwin. Bosch thought he was off to the races, and Savon Goodwin, showing why he was second team All-NAC last year, used his length to just barely tie up Colton Bosch. That'll make it second down, and that'll also bring us to the end of the third quarter. CUC defense looks much improved, keeps WLC off the board. The offense gets one touchdown back. They will go into the fourth, trailing the Warriors 42-14. We'll have more action for you in the conclusion of this game when we're back on the Cougar Sports Network in just a second. "15 minutes remain here in regulation in River Forest. CUC They're going to need a big run here in this fourth quarter if they want to make some magic happen. Down 42-14, second down here to start. And Colin Bosch somehow gets that pass off, but really does not make much of it. Joran Brown brought down right after the reception. It is still third down and now 13 for the Cougars.
A 1 yard gain on that play is, impressive. That was a busted play. No one really had the opportunity to get anything, so 1 yard is a net positive for CUC. But now you need one of those chunk plays. You need a big play. It's something that the Cougars, they got at the start of the third quarter. They haven't really had since.
Bosch moving Jace Levi around. Now take the snap. Bosch looking. He's still got some time as he rolls out. He's going to get rid of the ball, and good reception from CUC. It's Manuel Mendoza, but he was pushed out of bounds, and with a fourth down. Ooh, this is big. CUC, they're going for it. It is going to be 4th down and 3. Troy Prattley out on the field for the Cougars.
So you open up that door for that read option, the QB keeper.
And now a timeout by Coach Hankins. He wants to talk things over. First of the half for CUC. Well, and the other thing with having Troy Prattley in there is you open the door to a sneak punt, too. Prattley, he was an all-conference honorable mention last year as a quarterback, punter, and defensive back, kind of a Swiss Army knife for the Cougars. So he does have that punt ability, and he's a decent punter at that. So I wouldn't be too shocked if we see that, but I think CUC also knows if they want any chance of getting back in this one, they need a score on this drive.
It's a 28-point gap. If you don't get the first down here, if Wisconsin Lutheran scores anyways, you were already down 28 either way. It doesn't really matter what that gap is. You're losing by a big margin as well. You got to take those risks. You've got to go for it when you get the chance. 4th and 3 is manageable, and that's what we've usually seen from these Troy Prattley offensive plays is a 3 or 4 yard gain routinely. If they can get that again, you get the first down.
4th down and 3. CUC well in their own territory. They're going to let Joran Brown try to get it. Brown, he's going to spin his way to a first down and some more.
That's what he does best. He takes the contact and he just goes through it and picks up enough yardage. He's struggled to do that today because he's met so much contact at the line, but he's able to get it done there.
So first down, a big conversion for CUC as Troy Prattley fakes the QB keep, hands it off to Jace Levi, who will get a couple yards out of it. That is what you want to see out of Troy Prattley. He was able to draw some defensive attention, but Jace Levi still only able to get a pair of yards out of that rush. 2 and 8 now on CUC's own 37.
I think one of the most impressive parts of this WLC defense today has been each player's individual performance. They haven't needed 3 or 4 players covering the area part of the field with one player. Their open field tackling, their solo tackling has been really, really strong today. It's prevented CUC from getting the open field plays to work.
Prattley fakes a handoff. He's going to keep it in the pocket. Troy Prattley, he's going to uncork one downfield, and that is going to be as easy an interception as they come. Picking it up is Kaysen McFadden, and WLC, a big turnover. And they respond to the CUC fumble recovery with a turnover of their own. They got the ball up 42-14, 12 and a half minutes to go here in River Forest.
Yeah, it's just double coverage either way when you're throwing over towards Henry Jones there, and even then, well away from Jones. Jones had leveled off around the 35-yard line. Prattley's pass ended up going to the 30.
Well, WLC back on the field. They got a new man under center, however, as McKinney gets a good gain out of that rush. Quarterback is another junior, the 6'3", Brighton, Colorado native, Nate Griffith checking into the game. He's appeared in 3 games so far, 3 for 7 on the completions attempt in his season so far. 11 total yards of passing as the starter Bryce Barbian, unless things get interesting here in the next 12 minutes, likely done for the day, as there'll be another handoff to McKinney. WLC likely going to start the rushing game. Let's just start winding that clock down. You got a hefty lead here in the fourth quarter. You don't need to do anything special to win. You just don't need to do just can't do anything dumb. So third down now and manageable for the offense after a pair of McKinney rushes. See if we get to see Griffith's arm at this time. Still 15 seconds on the play clock. The game clock is running as well. Griffith will take the snap. It'll be another handoff to McKinney, and McKinney, he's going to plow his way forward for a first down. That'll move the chains, and that'll keep the clock running for WLC.
Yeah, McKinney just found enough of a hole on the right side to plunge through and then just lay down the shoulder. Make sure you pick up that first down. Got the extra 2 yards after it. But this offensive line combined with a running back who can get routinely 4 or 5 yards, it's exactly what you want at the end of a game like this that can just grind that clock out, pick up first down after first down.
Griffith, he'll make a pass and a reception and getting only about a yard before he is brought down is Colin Amack, junior receiver. I haven't had to call his name yet today. So it'll be a second down and 8 for the Warriors. Set up on their own 47-yard line. You can tell Coach Tresky's opened up the playbook to just run the clock out here. Short passes, short rushes, or not short rushes, rushes in general, just to keep that clock running. As here's another one by McKinney. McKinney finds a hole, and this may stop the clock if he finds the end zone. McKinney, he's got to beat a couple Cougars. He doesn't, but McKinney, a big rush of Tywin McKinney, and WLC knocking on the door of their first touchdown this half. As Tywin McKinney, ever since he's been getting the primary rushes, has been doing some good work here in the second half.
And the Cougars D just selling out for the run, leaving no one deep. But you get enough blocks to create a hole that McKinney can exploit. And there you see his weakness as a back is the open field speed. He was able to get chased down. But, I mean, a big gain's a big gain, and it puts him 5 yards away from the goal line.
And that is McKinney on the ground now, being attended to by the training staff. As the CUC training staff starts to head out as well. McKinney now sitting up. And he's going to be helped to his feet by his own trainer. So less than 10 minutes to go here in regulation. As Tywin McKinney not helped off the field, walked off the field with the trainer under his own power. So that was a big run, and like you said, speed does not seem to be his game. He is a power back in its purest sense. Unable to find the end zone there, but he gets his team right on the doorstep. First and goal on the 5-yard line, as it will be Griffith still under centers, and he's joined by Seth Voller, who had that end zone fumble last WLC drive. Big handoff. Griffith takes a big hit and an incomplete pass. Now there's a flag. It's on where the reception was supposed to be, where the target was. I thought they might have called a Cougar for a QB hit on Griffith, roughing the QB.
So it was a touchdown.
They did just rule a touchdown. Okay, I thought he dropped the ball. And no one was really celebrating about it either. So it is a touchdown. It looked like he dropped the ball, but he reeled it in. It is a snag for TD, and there was an unsportsmanlike conduct called after the TD on WLC. That will be enforced on the kickoff as Ortega gets set now for the PAT. He's been perfect so far today. See if you can keep it that way. Kick is up, and it is good. 49-14 is our score. 9:19, pardon me, to go here in regulation. So the reception was by Nate Hidalgo.
And the confusion with the result of the play kind of kept us from talking about it. It was a good play. It's a goal line play we've seen from Wisconsin Lutheran before today. Scheme up that short flat for the receiver on the far sideline. The Cougars defended it better. You had a secondary man between the QB and the pass. You had pressure on Griffith, except Griffith, perfect placement. He went low and to the outside. He got it around the defender, and it was a good catch from Hidalgo to go down low and bring in that pass. So good chemistry between the QB and the receiver on that play. Good pass, good reception. Extends that Wisconsin Lutheran lead. Another touchdown scored on this defense, a defense that coming into the day had given up more touchdowns than any other team in Division III in the country, and that's a stat that likely won't change after today.
49 points given up by the CUC defense. They looked better in this second half until Hidalgo found the end zone, and here is Levi now. Good return, helped out by the penalty after the touchdown, which backed up the kickoff. So he brings that just before the 50-yard line. But I was going to say, funny enough, I don't know if it's that funny, is that CUC is still below their average points allowed per game. 49 points given up here on the season. They're averaging a 54 points allowed per game mark. So if this game closes out like it is now, they're going to somehow improve that number. But still, this is not what you want to see out of the CUC defense as WLC. If we look at their respective drives so far, touchdown, punt, 4 touchdowns in a row, fumble, possession ended by halftime, then possession ended on downs, another fumble, and a TD. So this is a team who they've scored a touchdown on more drives than they haven't. As CUC's defense, they're going to have a lot to figure out heading into the final few weeks of the season if they want to salvage this conference schedule. Only one win so far, and that was to the lowest-ranked team in the conference in Eureka. As here's the snap. Colton Bosch over to Henry Jones. Jones has enough for a first down before he's tackled.
And we talked about it before this game. This is a Wisconsin Lutheran team that's middling on the stat sheet, but today with the performance they've put up against CUC, they've looked like anything but that, especially in that first half. The offense firing on all cylinders, and that's not what you want to happen from this defense. This was a great opportunity for a get-back game for CUC after that big loss to St. Norbert's, and they were just unable to get that against this Wisconsin Lutheran offense.
After that last touchdown from WLC, they surpassed what was their season high for points scored. That was 44 when they took down Buena Vista back on September 14th at 44-13 victory, as they're kind of in line for a very similar score here today, 49-14. We'll see if either of those two teams change that in the last 8 minutes of regulation. Colton Bosch, a missile across the middle, and there's Devin Bledsoe. Bledsoe gets enough for a first down. He'll move the chains. And again, I mentioned we've seen a couple impressive plays from Bledsoe. He has the touchdown reception for CUC. I don't know. I wish we saw the Cougars use him a bit more, because that's exactly what you get with Bledsoe. You can throw that ball, a good foot or two over his head. He's still going to go up and get it. That's what you get when you have a 6'3" senior out there.
And the reality of the situation is Colton Bosch has been struggling for accuracy today as he's brought down again. And Bledsoe's the receiver you want to throw to if you're struggling with accuracy, a receiver who can go and get it instead of having to have it placed right on the numbers.
Dennis Schmidt Jr. in on the sack. He's a freshman, so he's fired up about that. Anytime a freshman gets to make a big play on the field, always going to be exciting. As we're approaching the 7-minute mark, it is 2nd and long for CUC. 2nd and 17 to be exact. Bosch looking, steps through, and he finds Booba Henson, who he's tackled just before the original line of scrimmage. Booba Henson, the secondary back for this Cougars offense. A much different look than Joron Brown. A little quicker, a little shiftier, but also smaller and not as strong, not as much of a yard after contact threat as Brown. Still brings a lot to this offense as he trots off the field. Empty backfield now for the Cougars, 3rd and 11. Bosch, the snap, he's looking downfield. Bosch, he's got a man in his face. He finds a wide open Manuel Mendoza, but Mendoza is tied up before he can get the first down, and coming in to finish the tackle was Jeffrey Montgomery.
And you're going to go for it here. Cougars going for that 4th and short. You're down big late in the game. It doesn't hurt. But again, that was a play. Bosch hit the open man, and he got laid out right after letting it go. The protection not holding up entirely well. Good play from Bosch to be able to make that pass.
Bosch, low snap. He gathers it. Again, a backup center in for CUC this game with an injury to Jalen Franklin. Bosch, and he throws a pick that made it through 2 Cougars' hands, and coming away with the interception is Connor Martin. Henry Jones and Jace Levi basically ran right past each other. The ball went through them and landed in the hands of Connor Martin. There we go. And he comes away with the 2nd WLC interception of the day. First interception thrown by Bosch. And with 5:25 left to go, WLC, they can establish a good running game here. They can likely run this clock out.
And to me, it didn't really look as much as if that went through the hands. It might have gone off the hand of Jace Levi on the throw is what it looked like to me. It was and if it did, then it was a pretty good pass from Bosch going against his momentum on the rollout, escaping the pressure. Either way, you're down big either way, so you can't be like, dang, that cost us the game. It is tough. You had some momentum heading towards the end zone.
McKinney back in the game for WLC. That's good to see after he went down on the last WLC drive right before the Hidalgo touchdown, as it is should be 2nd down and 10. They haven't changed the yard marker yet. The down marker, I should say. As here's a little flip and a good run here from number 14 in white. That's Bennett Reeder, sophomore receiver out of Appleton. As it should be 3rd down. Again, the down marker is off by 1. Surprised the referees have not changed it. As there we go. Now it's switched to 3. 3rd down and 8 for WLC. The clock's still running as we approach the 4-minute mark. McKinney in the backfield with Griffith. Griffith, he'll throw it, and he almost gets picked off a low throw. Getting a hand on it was the CUC defensive back, Jordan Lacey.
It's just well off the mark towards Bennett Reeder. So 3 and out, and they'll punt it away. Quickly here, Drew Mears dropping back for that job.
Drew Mears pulling double duty as receiver and punter on the game so far. Mears has 3 receptions for 8 yards, and he has 1 punt for 43 yards. So love to see these kind of Swiss Army knife players at the Division III level. As Mears, the kick is off. That's a nice kick. It's got some good spin to it, and calling fair catch will be Jace Levi. So CUC will set up shop on their side of the 50. Ball placed at their own 48-yard line.
And for both of these teams, Wisconsin Lutheran clearly content to just kind of ride this game out and see where it takes them. the Cougars offense, we saw they were working towards the end zone their last drive before the pick thrown by Bosch. And we'll see how aggressive they are, down by 35 with 4 minutes remaining.
It will be a pass play to start the drive. Bosch, good time in the pocket as that ball thrown into the CUC sideline. I believe that hit a player in the leg. No one looks worse for wear. As WLC not bringing as much pressure now. I think they're content to just kind of pull back a little, make sure you don't give up any massive plays that could lead to an improbable comeback with under 4 minutes to play here in regulation.
Yeah, they're only rushing 3, dropping everyone else back. And this is a team that normally plays a 4-3 defense. So they're sending back more defensive backs. And for CUC, especially since the running game has been struggling today, if you can get that blanket coverage down, Bosch really doesn't have many options.
Bosch, guy got in the backfield that time, but he's still able to swing it out to Booba Henson, who steps out. There's good pressure out of Dennis Schmidt Jr., but Bosch able to stay upright, get the ball to Henson, and they'll keep the clock rolling. 3rd down now for CUC.
And props to Wisconsin Lutheran. They've done a great job of taking down all of these check down passes from Colton Bosch. None of them really been broken out for a big gain from CUC. Maybe 4 yards, 5 yards at most before they're brought down. And again, it just shows how good that open field tackling has been from the Warriors today.
Bosch fakes the handoff to Henson. Now he'll sling this one to Wesley Jackson. That had some heat on it. Wes Jackson brought down on the 36-yard line. As the chains will move. CUC seeing what they can pick up here at the end of the game. Maybe get some momentum going into the next week's contest. 1 road game, 1 home game remains for the Cougars after today. They'll travel to the other Concordia in the NAC, Concordia University, Wisconsin, on November 9th. So they do get a bye week this upcoming weekend. They'll get some time off to recover, and then they'll take on the Falcons the following weekend up in Mequon, Wisconsin. Then they'll close out the season a week after that on November 16th for Senior Day. And that'll do it. So CUC with just 2 games left on the docket after today, maybe hoping to pick up a little momentum at the end of the year, give their seniors something to celebrate on that Benedictine game on the 16th of next month. So 2:34 remains here in regulation. It is 2nd down and 10. CUC makes some personnel changes on the offense, getting some players on, players off. Randall Bills, Devin Bledsoe, Jace Levi, Henry Jones, and Manuel Mendoza all out there in the receiving core. No one in the backfield along with Bosch. Snap. Bosch has to evade and doesn't quite do it. Dennis Schmidt Jr. He's having himself a nice day here as he just checked into the game recently. The freshman getting some reps at the very end. And he'll pick up another sack. And that'll back CUC up to 3rd and 18. They can run this down to the 2-minute warning if they wish. 2:08 left to go on the game clock. They get set. We'll see if they get it off in time. If they want to get it off in time, they do. This will take us past the 2-minute warning. Bosch cross the middle and just over the hand of Henry Jones. And that'll bring up 4th down, and that'll also bring up the 2-minute warning.
So that pass just overthrown. He had Jones open in the middle of the field, big gain, and just again, and I think that's the biggest accuracy mistake we've seen from Colton Bosch today is the overthrows, putting it over the head of his receivers, forcing them to try and go up for it and make a play, which is tough already, especially on those crossing routes going across, because you have to kind of stop yourself and shift your momentum to going upwards, and it also sets yourself up for a very big hit if you're even able to bring that ball down.
So talked about what Concordia's got up next. As for the WLC squad, they'll be back in action on November 2nd, so a week from today. They'll be taking on St. Norbert at WLC for Military Appreciation Day. Then they hit the road to take on Rockford a week after that on the 9th. And then they close out the season with Senior Day and the Lutheran Bowl on November 16th against Concordia University of Wisconsin. I like that, the Lutheran Bowl. Don't know why we could have had that today as well, but I guess we'll have to work on that for next season between these two Lutheran-based universities. So both these squads just under a month away from closing out their 2024 season. Always incredible to see how fast these seasons fly by. As here is the punt from Dennis Vanderpyle. It'll take a couple bounces, and the special teams unit's going to watch that one roll all the way down as it stops on the 2-yard line. That's about as picture-perfect a punt as you can get, as WLC is going to have to avoid a safety for the next minute 43 after being backed all the way up.
And you're far back enough that even if WLC, the Cougars could call enough timeouts to force them to get a first down, whether they would, being down this much is a question. You can't even kneel it down 3 times in a row with where you're at on the field because you're within 2 yards. You'd lose enough yardage and you'd end up in the end zone. So Wisconsin Lutheran is going to be forced to try and gain some yardage.
Well, as a rush here from McKinney will get them some yardage to spare. Let's look around the conference so far today, as we have 4 other conference games going on. Aurora taking on Lakeland. Aurora taking down the Muskies 49-14, doing Aurora things. Meanwhile, Concordia University of Wisconsin and Rockford duking it out. 8-12 left to go in that game, and it's a thriller. Rockford and Concordia, Wisconsin tied 35 apiece, so an exciting game going on between the Falcons of CU Dub and the Regents of Rockford. Meanwhile, Benedictine, they either are leading Eureka 42-0 late, or they beat Eureka 42-0 late. The stats are not very clear on that aspect, but still Benedictine taking care of Eureka, as I believe Eureka will stay winless in conference play this season. As we have under a minute to go here in River Forest, as the WLC Warriors are well on their way to another win in conference play. Well, CUC, they're going to keep their skid going, and that will do it unless anyone decides to use a timeout here, which is not looking the case. WLC can run the clock out to 0 and clinch this victory here in River Forest. 10 seconds remain on the clock as the teams head to their respective sidelines, and that'll do it. So, WLC comes to River Forest, and as the clock hits 0, they defeat the Cougars 49-14. WLC, they improve to 5-2 on the year, 4-1 in conference play. They're also 3-1 on the road. Meanwhile, CUC, they fall to 2-5 and 1-5 and 2-6 and 1-5 in conference play, while they fall to 1-3 when playing on the road. As let's take a peek at some of the final statistics from this game. Passing-wise, it was the Bryce Barbian show, 285 yards, 20 for 26, insanely accurate. We talked about his accuracy before the game. He's a league leader for a reason. 5 touchdowns as well for Barbian through the air. He also had a rushing touchdown with a 63-yard jaunt to the end zone. And Nate Griffith getting in the action as well, 3 for 5 through the air, 9 yards and a touchdown. Receiving-wise, Emmett Hawkins showed why he was first-team all-conference last year as a freshman, 183 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And Jameel Gordon having a fantastic day as well, 80 yards on 5 receptions for a pair of touchdowns. And besides Barbian, the leading rusher was Tywin McKinney, 13 rushes, 109 yards, wasn't able to find the end zone. As for WLC's defense, Layson Handwork leading the way with 9 total tackles, 8 of which were solo. Savant Goodwin also had 9 total, 5 of which were solo. Sacks, Goodwin had 2, as did Schmidt. And interceptions, Connor Martin coming away with 1, as did Kaysen McFadden. As for the Cougars on the stat sheet, Colton Bosch, 156 yards, 17 for 13 for a 53 completion rate. 2 touchdowns as well as 1 interception. Receiving-wise, Devin Bledsoe having himself a nice game. 3 receptions, 75 yards, and a TD. Only other receiving TD for the Cougars came from Randall Bills. As for CUC's rushing game, never really able to get it fully established, as it was Joron Brown leading the way. 11 rushes for 48 yards, and the only other player in double-digit yardage was Troy Prattley with 27 yards. But, Jonathan, let's get your closing thoughts on another tough week for CUC and tough week for CUC's defense.
And I think the best way to describe it is tough. I mean, you go into this game, you're looking for a get back against a team that doesn't really stand out on the stat sheets, and then especially on the defensive side, this team just looked kind of lost in the first half, and that was the biggest thing. Wisconsin Lutheran's offense was able to really do whatever they wanted with this CUC defense. Pass it, run it. They just had control of the game in the first half, and that's something that this CUC defense has kind of struggled with in the past few weeks, is being able to control the pace of play on defense, and they struggled with it again today, and that's going to be their focus as they head into a bye, is figuring out a way to just clean up the defensive play and not allow yourself to get beat in every aspect of the defense. On the offensive end, we saw the Cougars actually put it together a lot more towards the end of the game. They are able to get first downs. They are able to put together plays. They ended up putting up 14 on the board, but they started off slow again, and that's something we've seen from this Cougars offense as well, is a slow starts to games, and that cost them ultimately today against Wisconsin Lutheran big time. The Warriors starting out firing, the Cougars starting out very slow. It was a tough week from the Cougars, but I think this is a Wisconsin Lutheran team that, to their respect, they don't stand out on the stat sheets, but this is a very, very good team. They only have 1 loss in conference for a reason. There are no weak spots of this Warriors squad, and this is a team that really will want to fight within this conference towards the top of this conference. So full credit to Wisconsin Lutheran. They came out, showed exactly why they're good. They have a lot of weapons. The Cougars, another tough week, but they do get the bye before their final 2 games to try and finish strong.
Yep, that bye will come this upcoming Saturday, a week from today, and then they'll be back in action November 9th as they travel up to MEC 1, Wisconsin, to face the other Concordia University in the NAC Conference, Concordia University, Wisconsin. That game set for a 12 p.m. kickoff, and coverage can be found at our website, cucougars.com. But that'll do it for this edition of CUC Football. I want to say thanks to everyone making this Cougar Sports Network production possible. Our stat spotters for the day were Dave Diamond and Tyler Dorsch. Participation being done by Alan Mateo. Our camera crew for the day was Eric Perry, Courtney Schneider, and Luciana Moran Cruz. Our producers, Abby Kulig and Ashley Schroll. Photos were being done by Saba Miller down at the field level, and then our scoreboard being run by Sasha Gonzalez. We're under the direction of our graduate assistant, Sydney Lloyd, our assistant sports information director, Corey Welch, and our sports information director, Kale McLeod. Jonathan Shear joining me on the Cougar Sports Network all afternoon. One more time, Cougars fall to the Warriors 49-14 here this Saturday afternoon. They'll be back at it November 9th with a trip to Concordia University, Wisconsin at 12 p.m. Coverage can be found at our website, cucougars.com. But until next time, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougs!
So much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.